right, we're live.
From the industrial wastelands of Michigan to the fruited plains of Iowa, this is the
Why
American
would they do
Greed
a
Factory.
cheer publicity?
You are the dead. Remain exactly where you are. Make no move until you are ordered.
We burn them to ashes and then burn the ashes. That's our official motto.
Now we can see you. Clasp your hands behind your heads. Stand out in the middle of the room. Stand back to back.
Who can explain the fascination of fire? What draws us to it, whether we're young or old?
Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head.
And welcome to the American Greed Factory podcast. This is Nathan.
This is Conlon.
Andrew?
Andrew's back.
Yeah, sorry about the mix-up last Saturday. I got my wires crossed on which weekend was real weekend.
Oh, that's okay. We made it.
I ran him through some more virtual hoops.
Oh, we're doing some more VR stuff?
Yeah.
Yep.
How's that going?
It was good. I liked a lot of the stuff I was showing.
You got to play it. I didn't just show it to you.
Well, no, I mean, well, yeah, true. A lot of stuff I played. That makes it sound bad. Like a lot of stuff I was shown. Colin got.
Well, sometimes I really do that. It's like, hey, check out this video game. I don't let him touch it at all.
No, I did like Overwatch. It kind of made me wish I had money to buy it or time to play it or an Xbox Live account anymore because that expires soon too. But yeah,
I can't remember what you played.
Hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades.
Oh yeah.
It's like some of the stuff in the lab again because that was fun, and then work simulator.
Yeah, job simulator.
Yep, job simulator. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just a virtual shooting range called Hot Dogs, Horseshoes, and Hand Grenades.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not sure if I talked about this last time, but it's
Sounds familiar, but go ahead.
It's an oddly a good recreation of a shooting range, just with no recoil.
Oh, okay.
Because even I was like, because when he's in the headset, they have there's a screen, or there's a window on my screen showing him what he's looking at. It's just in 2D, and so I can tell what he's doing, and I got to instruct him here's how you use an M4. It's like, all right, I look on the left side of the gun. You see a little tab there? This is after he fired. He spent the round. He dropped the clip. It was like he put another clip in. It's like, all right, hit that button there, and they'll send the bolt forward, and then they'll load the next bullet in.
Well, that's cool. So is that thing paying off? Are you enjoying it?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's paying off. It's still all the games are still very demo-ish, where it's like, here's a cool thing. It's not really an experience yet. Although I did have a weird experience. I got a VR pool simulator.
Like billiard?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like in this bar setting, and you can just walk around the bar. And so I wasn't even playing pool half the time. I was just walking around fucking up the bar because you can break beer bottles and shit. Or you can there's a pool table, you just pick up a chair and just knock all the balls around with the fucking chair. And then I went online, I was playing with somebody, and at some point we stopped playing pool, and we were trying to put a trash can on top of the bartender's head and balance other things on top of the trash can. It's like, yeah, this is real stupid.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
But I mean, the pool worked pretty nice. It was hard to I mean, I suck at pool anyway, so it was going to be hard anyways. But it shows you where you're going to hit the ball. But I couldn't tell how to can I put some English on this? I couldn't tell if that's possible or not. But
okay.
But you can sit there. You can literally.
How do they emulate that or whatever? But
I don't know. There might be an option in there somewhere, or you might have to just flick your wrist in a certain way. But as far as I know, you can just it's nothing but hitting the ball straight forward. So, yeah. So that's VR. That's the VR update.
VR update.
And now there's an announcement on Steam. It ships within 2 or 3 days. If you
Okay.
want one.
Go get one.
What happens now?
You can. They say that they can ship it to you in 2 days after buying it.
Because before it was like,
Oh, okay.
how long to wait before? Like,
It took me a month.
Huh. Well, that's amazing. That's
So, yeah,
pretty
Nate.
quick shipping.
Yeah, Nathan, go get yourself a $2,000-$3,000 workhorse computer, and then go buy an $800 VR headset. But they are making development kit tools. Did they release it yet? Because I thought I saw an announcement they were releasing some more development suite stuff for it.
I
recently.
don't know.
So you can make your own stuff if you want to.
Well, I
Yes,
remember.
because in my role as a computer coder, I would be able to do that.
Well, I remember it used to be able, like, when the Oculus, before it actually was released, you could buy one as a software development kit. Like, you could pretend you were a developer and just buy one.
Oh, pseudo developer.
But those ones they put out are of less quality than the one they have out now. But
Oh, okay.
But, yeah.
So the world of virtual reality marches on.
so far,
VR porn yet?
yeah, it's out there. But like I said, I don't want to engage in some weird Russian.
You don't want like Russian weird software that.
I'm waiting for. Although on the App Store, you can get some weird video called Butts,
Okay.
and it's like a, huh?
Asses, that kind?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay.
but it's like a cartoon. It's cartoon, but like it's like some weird, like, sexless human that just like is doing shit with its butt the whole time, but like not anything graphic. It's just like farting and it's making like sounds and glitters flying out of its ass.
Okay.
and they're making people happy. It's
That's where it starts.
yeah, it's very Ren and Stimpy,
Oh, okay.
if that helps.
Yeah.
And then at the end, the moon has a face and it turns around and it has a butt.
Somebody's having fun.
So there's a virtual reality experience of that in the App Store. You can get it for like 79 cents.
It's a weird price.
Yeah.
79 cents. Okay.
Well,
it's
Steam
super
now does
expensive.
videos too. They sell like this. You can buy video or movies on Steam now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very limited. And also there's some really weird shit that you've never heard of before. Because there's this developer. They make a lot of like pretty famous indie video games, or at least they've like released them. It's called Devolver Digital, and they've released stuff like Hotline Miami.
You told me about that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
you
I
don't need to
watched
play
that
it, but you need to listen to the soundtrack. It's a great soundtrack. It's very 80s soundtrack. So they have like a film wing of Devolver, and it's so like weird and amateurish, but it's almost like it's almost like endearing. But nothing they put out looks good.
Was it like just really impressionist art house type films, or
That and just like really like terrible comedies too.
oh, okay, unintentionally funny.
Well, it's like it was written to be funny, but you watch the trailer and this just looks stupid.
Kind of like my wife's
Cameras.
opinion of yoga hosers.
I mean, that doesn't look good, but that also looks like a movie not for me.
That.
Yoga Hosers, that Kevin Smith, his latest movie.
Oh, yeah. I believe it or not, I don't know anything about that.
Oh, like that's a part of his trilogy of let's make movie out of ideas from our podcast.
Oh, okay.
So that's like where Tusk came from.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's. I'm not sure if there's a second one or if this is the second one. But
'Cause I
Yoga.
thought it was supposed to be those two girls were superheroes or something. Not,
No, I don't think they're superheroes, but he's putting them in superhero like roles.
oh,
Oh, that's his daughter and Johnny Depp's daughter.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they fight Nazis in Canada.
Oh,
Nazi bratwurst in Canada.
Yeah, like miniature bratwurst Nazis.
But to be fair, Haley Joel Osment does make one hell of a Nazi. Just for-
the Canadian Nazis worse than the Illinois Nazis from the Blues Brothers.
I
Oh yeah, speaking of Blues Brothers, did you anybody happen to see there is a clip on YouTube from Jimmy Kimmel. It was behind the scenes thing where Dan Aykroyd performed "Born in Chicago" with his harmonica and did the whole backup band and everything else. I think it's the first time since Blues Brothers he's actually like performed.
Oh, I
musically
didn't
in a
know
long
about that.
time.
I thought he's been taking that shit around forever.
Oh,
I don't
well,
think that was a secret.
I haven't seen him perform that in a long time.
Oh,
I didn't think he'd really done anything with music and stuff for a while. So
that's last time I heard is like there's like a tour he just goes around with, like that gets around. It's just not like televised anywhere.
oh.
I mean I could totally be wrong.
Last thing I knew about Dan Aykroyd is he's selling vodka and skulls, and he believes in aliens.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was the last thing I heard.
Crystal Skull vodka.
Yep.
Isn't it like $100 or $75?
Yeah.
Now? Is it
Yeah,
worth it?
it's something like
No, it's not worth it unless you want like a fucking
Crystal Skull. at the
yes,
end.
Crystal Skull fucking vodka holder. Well, that was weird too because I almost thought that was like a product placement for the Indiana Jones movie, but it was just coincidental. It's like that's just where like this like alien crystal skull shit was like been around forever, so they just co-opted that into the Indiana Jones movie. But like Dan Aykroyd was already on that shit. Like I got a vodka about that alien shit.
Yeah. The only other thing I know about Dan Aykroyd was he was in where Grandma lived. He was in Webster City.
No.
He I think it was for the Blues Brothers. I think he was like at the theater in the town, passing out tickets. Because they couldn't have a regular like premiere and opening, so he just went around the country. I think there was some kind of writer's strike or actor strike or something. I don't know. Anyway, that was the only thing. The only thing I knew about Dan Aykroyd. Is he still acting?
I think so. He shows up every now and again in
Yeah,
something.
every once in a while.
I can't remember the last thing he was in, but
I'm gonna
To the
say
internet.
Christmas with the Cranks. Like that's,
oh, maybe. I thought he like had some really small role in where he's like a father in something.
yeah,
I mean, that's what he would
familiar
be
too, but I
doing.
couldn't tell you what it was.
That's writer, I need actor. Get on up. What the fuck was that?
Never heard of it.
Legends of Oz, Dorothy's Return. What the hell is that? Oh, that was a voice thing. What was
He was Yogi Bear in the Yogi Bear movie.
Apparently, he was in that movie, The Campaign.
Yeah, he was one of the, like the Koch brothers stand-ins or whatever, like the rich Republican a-holes.
I don't remember that movie. Who was in the Campaign?
Will Ferrell and Zach Galifianakis.
Oh, was that any good?
Yeah,
It's all right.
That's probably pretty decent.
War Inc. That's the that's the last time I remember him being in something because I remember that seemed like a total. That seemed like a weird spiritual successor to Gross Point Blank
Oh yeah.
because I had both him and Mr. Cusack. I can't remember his first name.
John.
John Cusack.
Joan Cusack. No.
Joan and John Cusack.
No, I know.
She was in that too, wasn't she?
Yeah,
Probably.
as a secretary. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that movie wasn't that good, but I still kind of coasted on the vibe of Gross Point Blank, which I love that movie.
Yeah, there's three John Cusack John Cusack movies I really like, which is Better Off Dead, Gross Point Blank, and High Fidelity. And so it's, I mean, Obviously, there's two better ones out of those three, but Gross Point Blank's not that bad. At least I didn't think it was that bad.
No, I love Gross Point Blank.
Okay.
That's what I thought. That's what I was talking about. Like the War Inc. isn't as good as Gross
Oh.
Point Blank.
Okay, so all I heard wasn't as good, so I was like, fine.
Well,
like
well,
Grosse
actually-
Pointe Blank, like,
Well, actually, War Inc. isn't really a good movie, but like I'll watch it just because it coasts on the fumes of
Okay.
Gross Point Blank.
I didn't know if it was like a ripoff of Lord of War because that's what it kind of looked like from the cover. Just
Yeah, it came out around the same time, but it wasn't really that. Because Lord of War was about gun running, and War Inc. was like about assassinations to create political change and shit like that.
Oh, okay. I guess the cover just looked different, so I never.
No, those covers look exactly the same.
That's why I never read the back of it because I was like, this has got to be a ripoff of the same fucking movie.
Yeah, last John Cusack movie I watched was the 1408, and that was 7 years ago.
You didn't watch Hot Tub Time Machine?
I didn't get that one.
Yeah, I don't. Like,
It's okay.
Well, 1408 was an adaptation of one of my favorite Stephen King short stories, and the movie was terrible. But the short story is really good. And then he's teaming up with Samuel Jackson to be in another semi-okay Stephen King. This was not.
Oh, is that the Cellular thing? Because they have a trailer for that out.
Oh, the trailer finally made it out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've not heard good things about it. So,
Uh,
see, the problem was the book was only about half good. So, I don't know how they can make a win. But who knows?
Yeah.
It might be cool.
Speaking of scary thing, or at least demonic or evil things, did anybody see the first episode of The Preacher? Because they put it free on YouTube.
I've seen the second episode
Oh, God damn you.
and the first episode.
I watched the first episode.
Oh,
Talked
you
about it
guys-
in the last podcast.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I obviously late to the party.
No, it's-
What did you think of it?
I liked it. Until a couple weeks before, I didn't know it was at least the pilot was directed and written by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. But,
Oh, they directed it?
yeah, they directed and wrote it.
Huh.
But I don't. Some part of it made it sound like they funded it too a little bit, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, they're producers, so.
But
I
other
doubt-
than that, like, yeah, I thought it was really good. I like who they cast for the role as the preacher. I can't remember his actual what's his character.
Some
name?
British guy.
Okay,
Oh, you know his character name? Jesse.
yeah. I was trying. It was something with a J. I'm like, it's not John, but no, it's.
Did you ever read the Preacher comic books?
I think he gave it to me once. I read like the first 10 pages, and that's before I really got into comic books, so I just kind of blew it off. So I was gonna ask you at some point to borrow it again.
Oh, I think I sold them all.
Oh, son of a bitch. But no, I thought it was good, and I kind of maybe wish I had either an AMC online subscription or still had cable so I could watch the rest of it. Or they're nice enough to post the rest of them for free on YouTube.
I think the second episode is free right now
Oh, on YouTube, or is it just on AMC?
on AMC.
Okay.
Like, I think if you get to it, they might have a limited. They might have like the first 6 episodes are free to all, and then the rest you need to have a subscription. But otherwise, if you need to watch it, you can watch it here. So.
It seemed like maybe the vampire character might be a little bit more. I mean, seemed plenty dark, but it seemed like maybe the comic booky might be a little more evil, not as lighthearted.
Oh no, that's perfect casting.
Okay.
That's exactly what that character is.
I like his character a lot. I just couldn't understand half what he said sometimes with his Irish accents.
Yeah, that's in line with the character.
He didn't make a lot of sense on the comic sometimes either.
Well, that and the whole shielding the children while you kill a bunch of people outside with his ex-girlfriend and shit. It was like, just stay in here till the noises stop or whatever, and the fucking house is coming crashing down around him and comes out.
Yeah, that was that never happened in the comics, but that was a reintroduction of that character, because they described in the comics she's kind of like mild mannered until shit goes down, and then that's when she starts eating people's ears off and shooting people to death. Here they make her just kind of like a more high tempoed manic kind of person who always seems who you can't tell whether she's like crazy or just giggly about like hurting people. which is it's turned for the character, but it makes more sense, I guess. So that scene was there to kind of set up the how they recast the character.
Well, that and I.
And she's not some pretty blonde lady from Texas.
No, that and I like the twist, whereas the classic wife being abused by the husband, the kid tells or tries to get somebody to help, but instead the wife actually likes it. Like the boy just doesn't know.
Oh, that's our thing.
So that was kind of fun.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Well, and also what's different is that pretty different from the comic book is that the comic book's almost like a road trip. And it seems like for the TV show, they're kind of like staying in one place, at least for now.
Yeah, because at least what I saw of the explanation of the comic book, like the general arc it takes, like they pretty much spend the first couple issues in town, then they leave. So, or it seems that way anyway.
Yeah, well, I think like I can't remember. I want to say the opening of the comic book is like him giving a sermon to, the people there, and like he gets the voice of God thing, and like everybody's head blows up inside the church, and then he just leaves.
But
Walks
instead, all I did is make some mama's blood go rip his heart out in Florida. So,
Yeah, it should be pretty good. When I have time on next weekend, I'm gonna try to catch up on that.
Second episode's pretty good.
is the Walking Dead season already over, or is that still going on?
Yeah, that's over with.
Okay.
Maybe
October?
I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds about.
I'm not current at all with Walking Dead. All I know is that somebody was supposed to die, and you don't know who because they did it in first person.
Yeah. Well, they got the guy who played the comedian from Watchmen being the main bad guy.
Yeah, Jeffrey T. Morgan.
Oh,
Plays
they got
Negan.
him playing
Negan.
Nate or Negan or
Yeah,
Negan.
well, however you say it. I don't know.
I can't remember how the fuck you say it.
I know about him. The spoiler is that he kills Glenn, but they might switch it up because it's the TV show.
Yeah. Yeah, and the
Yeah, I guess
TV
so.
show doesn't follow the comics
Yeah,
exactly.
Because obviously in the comics he beats Glenn's head in with a baseball bat on the coin toss, basically. So yeah, it's
Well, he also kills Abraham Ford too, so
yeah,
you never know who's going to happen. In the comic books, he has some. There's some kind of huge war between the factions, and then it becomes more of Rick's weird moralizing where he won't kill Negan prisoner, and it's just strange. You never know which way it's going to go.
Yeah, and Carl's all 5 ways fucked up. And seems like he's not really a human being anymore because he has like no half his face. All this other shit, but oh well.
Yeah, you never know which way that's going to go.
Oh, now.
But I don't know about the Fear the Walking Dead. That might be going on. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't like that, so I gave up on that about halfway through.
Yeah, my wife watched that and didn't like it either. So
I can only absorb so much of that. It takes me away from my reading time.
oh, did anybody? I know the Outcast came out like last week, didn't it?
I didn't watch it.
Because I read the last issue I got or last collection I got, Walking Dead, came with the first volume of Outcast.
Oh,
So
was that a comic book before?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay.
Robert Kirkman's other comic book.
Well, the way the commercials made it sound like is like from the creator of Walking Dead comes this. It's like, oh, did he just go straight to TV? I didn't know it was a comic before.
No, it's from what I can tell from reading the first couple issues, it seems like he's kind of on a mission against demons that are out to get him or whatever from his childhood and shit. Like a priest recruits him, and he's got like a restraining order against his whole family and a bunch of other shit.
No. Whatever happened to the AMC show, or did it come out yet? Where it's basically like samurais with motorcycles.
Oh, that failed.
Badlands or whatever.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
That failed.
Yeah, everyone was like, "This is stupid," or they made some terrible comment like, "Is this a glimpse inside Vin Diesel's brain?" Or everyone said it was not compelling at all. It was cool to look at, but Yeah, it didn't make any sense what was going on.
I didn't know that came out. I remember it, like the ideas sound cool, and then like, is this out yet? And then I heard nothing. Like no.
No,
No,
because
I
everybody
haven't.
talked about the action scenes in the first couple episodes. I thought it did well, but apparently it did poorly.
Yeah, the story didn't hold up. It was just eye candy.
I like eye candy.
Some people do. Well, there's a whole slew of summer movies that are out now. I don't think any movie except Zootopia and Captain America that was a big release this summer has gotten more than 50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Nice Guys, I tried to go see that. I got like 90 something. That was a good movie.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I don't even remember seeing that around here.
And then Conjuring 2 just came out. I think they got like 80 or 90 for its Rotten Tomatoes.
Popstar got.
Yeah, me and Stacey are gonna see that next week.
Yeah, somebody wrote a thing on Reddit where it's like Nice Guys and Popstar proves that we can't have nice things.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's like, here's something original coming out during the summer for all those people that hate the sequels that are coming out. And then like, well, fuck that. I guess we'll go see sequels.
Yeah, I was
Well,
surprised.
sequels.
I was surprised when people are in Now You See Me Too tonight. It was like fucking packed. I'm like, people like this movie? Like, what the fuck? Like,
Well, the audiences must like it. I think it got like 22%.
Yeah.
I'd have to back that solid.
Well, it still has that kind of like Ocean's 11 with magic.
It
Yeah.
was super fucking confusing though. Like it.
Yeah,
there
so
were
was the
many-
first fucking movie. It's like, this makes sense until it doesn't. And then
No,
it completely doesn't.
It's like literally the movie didn't make sense because either it was so. It might have actually been real, but they made it was so out of grasp of a normal moviegoer. I wouldn't say they would know it was real or not, or it was so fucking fake and they made it dressed up to make it look like it was real. Like I couldn't really tell you what the fucking plot was from the first movie well enough to really nail it down to know if they're just making shit up in the second movie as they went along. So
Well, I mean, what did you think happened in the first movie? Or what do you think you're
I know
missing
they
from
were
it?
stealing money from somebody, and then the FBI was onto them.
Well, it's like Morgan Freeman's the bad guy.
What?
Morgan Freeman's the bad guy in the first movie.
Yeah, I couldn't even remember he was in the first movie until he was like, "Oh yeah."
Well, because like once you see him he does like the voiceover for the trailer, so you kind of assume that he's the good guy.
Well, because I knew Michael Caine was in the first movie, but I didn't remember anybody else.
He's also a bad guy, isn't he?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then Daniel Radcliffe, Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman are all bad guys, basically in this movie, and Woody Harrelson playing his identical twin brother. He's also a bad guy. So it's that and a million random henchmen that obviously are hired and also shit. So there's just one part. I mean, the visual effects of it, like the way they do it with hiding it, because they're like, oh yeah, this computer chip that can break into any computer in the world and steal anything and be a backdoor into anybody's information. And you have no privacy and stuff like that. Like, oh, it's the size of a playing card. So we're gonna practice tossing around a playing card and doing hide and conceal tricks with it, so we can get it out of this secret clean room with all these guards and stuff like that. Like the shot itself was awesome, and the way they kind of hit it and shuffle it around, that was cool. But the whole like, oh, let's have 4 mobsters in here to look at this chip we're gonna sell on the black market. And then we don't even know who they are. We don't do any screening. Like, oh, here's this giant black cube with all these cool-looking lights running all over it. The chip's at the bottom. It's just.
Yeah, those movies aren't there for making sense. They're just let's give this ridiculous
What
premise.
kind of agenda's baked into them? Is that the problem, or is it just a bunch of just bad storytelling?
I think they injected a lot more humor into this movie than they did the last one, or at least as far as I remember from the first movie, they injected a lot more humor. So it's lighter, but at the same time, like the storytelling is not great. The character development is non-existent. If you even like any of the characters, which I didn't really like any of the characters, because you never spend any time with any of them to actually get to know them.
Well, yeah, they're all fucking assholes.
Yeah.
There's no redeeming quality about them. They're all thieves. and the first movie, they're all disgraced magicians
Uh-huh.
who are like kind of like trying to like work together against some secret organization to join another secret organization. And like one of the interesting twists in it here, I'll spoil it for you. I'll spoil it for everybody.
Yeah, because I'm not going to watch it, so go ahead.
So like the whole time, like the main bad guy is Mark Ruffalo. So
He's working with Four Horsemen.
I know, but that's the actor's name, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's an FBI guy who's constantly getting worked over by his guys and made to look a fool. At the end of the movie, he's the guy behind everything that was helping them along. So that's the big twist. And then, like at the end, he says, like, "You've now this was your invitation to join this secret organization of magicians." And then it's like, wait, is magic real now? It gets pretty fucking stupid.
You still don't know at the end of the second movie if magic is really real, because it has this weird reveal at the end of the second movie where Mark Ruffalo kind of becomes the head of the secret magic organization. Because I guess Morgan Freeman secretly was all this time. And then it just has these weird establishing shots of like Woody Harrelson and the rest of the crew in the other room staring at just all these pictures of surveillance from throughout the movie and all these like little props for all the stunts they set up for magic tricks, and just going, wow, that's unbelievable. What the fuck's happening? Kind of shit. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck's happening? You guys were involved in all this shit and you planned it out. How the fuck do you not know what the hell is going on here? It doesn't make any sense. It makes the movie makes it sound like any magic shop in the world is connected to the Eye or the secret magic organization, where people, you know, watch over you like Big Brother, and they make sure that people don't fuck over the civilian population, basically. And it's just like
they're doing a bad job.
Yeah, it's like
Not too. It sounds impressive. It has all the forms of being impressive, but if that's their stated goal, they're falling flat.
But no, like the beginning of the movie, you see it's like 1984 or 86 or some shit. And this young kid, and then Morgan Freeman's like doing a news report on a bridge. This guy is going to go over the water and do a safe and try to get out before he drowns. And that ends up being Mark Ruffalo as a kid and is seeing his dad die. And and then it keeps expanding upon that. And like, oh, okay, that's why they said. But it's like, oh, that's why they set up Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine to go to prison in the first movie? Because I don't remember that.
I think I think there was something about that. I can't remember.
But it's then it goes into Woody Harrelson going on about like, oh yeah, this is the guy that fucked me over and stole all my money, and then it's him playing his identical twin brother with curls.
I mean, these movies are essentially like maybe more visually impressive but less charismatic Ocean's 11 movies.
Yes, it's extremely hard to follow, nonsensical, very visually impressive Ocean's 11 with a pigeon flying out of a guy's pants. That's really the catchphrase. Like Daniel Radcliffe's in it for some fucking reason as an evil villain. I have no fucking.
Because that's what he
idea
gets to do nowadays.
Yeah,
I'm gonna play a corpse and a bad guy.
Like at first, like you see the trailer, it's like, oh, okay, it's just Daniel Radcliffe playing Daniel Radcliffe as a celebrity guest appearance or some shit. It's like, no, he's supposed to be a believable bad guy. So it was okay for what it was, I guess, but it wasn't anything I'm gonna rush to ever see again.
Well, speaking of demonic forces and weird things in the world, there's a new dating site out there for you single people. TrumpSingles.com. Meet and date like-minded people. And if that's not your flavor, there's also
Meet the last date you'll ever have.
there's a Bernie match site too. That's been around even longer.
It's a burn with me.
Yeah. Picture of those monks in Vietnam that were on fire. That's I'm just, people have already of course signed in, created accounts, and found some interesting things about Trump singles, about, you know, people in the New York area put in like, where can I find an African American or you know, like if you have your search criteria, it's like, I want to find an African American, an Arab, or a Hispanic. They found like 2 people in the New York metropolitan area on Trump singles that met that criteria. There's like, what, 20 million people that live in that wider area. So that was, yeah, that's something that's out there. It's a thing.
Well, I mean, oh yeah, dude, have a dating site. So yeah.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, you don't remember that?
Okay.
Okay, seatbelts.
No, I don't remember that actually.
I mean, it's not like huge or anything, but yeah, it happened. Where their webmaster was like, "Hey, let's make a dating site," and their webmaster's like, "All right, whatever."
Why not? Yeah, no, I didn't know about that, but I just thought it was kind of weird and funny. It's like people love to divide themselves up. Gotta find your people.
Yeah, I mean, did I ever tell you about those farmers only commercials?
Yeah, we talked about that. The farmer dating sites. And,
farmers only and 420 couples and
yeah, there's pot smoker ones. And what's the profit engine in those dating sites like that? I know, like the Cupid one and the Match.com, like they charge you money.
Okay, Cupid doesn't. That's just all advertising. You can purchase to have like ad-free stuff or to promote your profile.
Okay.
But like Match and what's the preachy one?
What do you mean by preachy, like faith or just like?
Yeah, I mean not like Christian Mingle, but there's one of the big ones.
eHarmony.
eHarmony, that's it. Because like the dude's all super God and everything. Like those ones you have to pay for. Like you just pay a monthly fee.
I think some of you might have a free month trial or some shit, but usually it's like, I don't know, I can't remember. It's pretty much like almost paying for Xbox Live for a full year in 1 month to try and possibly meet somebody.
Yeah.
But I guess it's technically the equivalent of going out to a bar or going out to whatever like used to be. So I don't know.
Yeah, I never understood that. Didn't know how they made money or what they did.
But yeah, that's not just subscription based. Okay, Cupid's like it has advertisement on the sides. That's why, but it's free, so that's why it's the most popular one. Also, the weirdest one.
Yeah, I guess you can classify it as weird when your profile literally says just looking to fucking no relationship and you're on a dating website. So I guess technically that's
looking for empty sex.
But they also have weird like social kind of like measuring devices where like they have a lot of what do you call that? Like
tests and quizzes.
Yeah. Like surveys and stuff. Like they have a ton of surveys and they actually like distribute like interesting social information about people.
Yeah, because that's how me and my wife met, was on that site. We did a bunch of tests and quizzes and surveys, and yeah, it does match up. Like, oh, you both said you would never in a million years fucking vote for Republican or some shit. Like that was it's on your bottom. I don't know how it is now because I haven't been on that site in 7 years now. Or 8 years, or whatever we and my wife met. Anyway, it has like a little thing at the bottom where if you look at somebody's profile, it used to be that it had certain questions matched up and like, oh, this is how they feel about this, and this is how you feel. Is that really important to you? And should you move forward and shit? So
now they have a bar that's just like a percentage match. Is like this is how much like closely alike you guys are.
Yeah, and it used to be just categories. 3 things. It was I think it was like lover, friend, and enemy.
Yeah.
Like you had a certain percentage for enemy and the other 2, and then like the more in tune you were. Like there's some people who contact you and it says 85% enemy.
You're my sworn enemy. We must be friends.
Must swap bodily fluids and have an unwanted child together that we will hate each other for.
But no, I mean, there's that dynamic too that you can just go on there looking for friends.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's
you can put that right up there as like just looking for friends or whatever.
Yeah, that's nice too.
It's almost like a freely open Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Just anybody can hop on and look,
Yeah, that sounds. I've never had to
Never had an online date.
Well, no. I've been married for almost 20 years, so I think the internet was. I think it was there when we got married, but you had to have money to be able to use it. I don't think we had a
Colin,
lot
what's
of-
Or 500 AOL CDs.
a bunch of AOL CDs.
But no, there's more fucked up shit about the internet. I was watching this news report today from, oh fuck, I don't think it was BuzzFeed. It wasn't BuzzFeed because that's too fucking pop culture and not really hard hitting journalism news source, but something with a B. Because it was
Daily Beast.
What?
Daily Beast.
No, it was just literally the B was it's all the first words B.
Oh.
Or whatever. But anyway, it was rebroadcast by the Humus Report and a couple other liberal online news sites, where I guess Google was tampering with their search results for Hillary Clinton for like the last 6 months.
Oh yeah, because if you put in Hillary Clinton space CRI, it wouldn't come up criminal investigation or crime.
Yeah,
It would come up with crisis or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah. And if you try to look up Hillary Clinton and then IND for indictment, it would say Indiana or India or
Yeah.
stuff like that. And then you look at the search results and nobody's looking for this. And you type in indictment and it's like, everybody's looking for this. Why isn't this the top search result?
Well, if you went to Yahoo or Bing, it would come up.
Yeah, that would come up automatically, and they cross-reference that with all of the stuff for looking up for Hillary Clinton, and all they did was post mostly positive reviews.
They do that shit all the time.
Well, I know, but it was a big thing because that's where everybody goes, and they also cross-reference a study that somebody did recently on. He had a mock election with 2 candidates, and then he had 3 groups. He had one group that only got positive information for candidate A, one that only got positive information for candidate B, and one that did. Then the other group got non-doctored information. And he found out that 48% of the people in each group were voted more likely towards the person that had more positive articles online when they went to Google.
Huh.
So it was like, well, technically that is kind of tampering in a way, or at least rigging in a way, as far as
Well, as long as they have competition, they're not.
No, I know. I'm just saying it's not seen as Google is supposed to be the. I mean, as they literally said in the story, it's the verb for looking up shit on the internet.
Yeah.
Let's go Google it. And if your reputation is based upon leading people to the information that's going to be most helpful or most relevant to what they're looking for, and you lead them to something else, that's not good for your reputation.
Oh yeah, I'm sure the people at Google, I mean the tech people love the Clintons. Bill Clinton gave them more subsidy than I think any president. I think he dumped more money into tech than any president. I mean, Reagan got a lot of credit for that too, but that was mainly through that was kind of inadvertent. He just dumped money into military stuff and it became internet and everything else. But yeah, I'm sure they have a house bias over there. Weren't they the second biggest donors outside of Hollywood and Wall Street to the Democrats?
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, they did break down Hillary's supposed connection to Google this election, because their former CEO was a big contributor to this year in previous elections, and then her chief technical officer for her campaign is a chairman at Google.
Yep. One hand washes the other. That's how it works.
Yeah.
So what do you think after California? Where were you at mentally?
Yeah, just want Bernie Sanders to finish till the convention and make it, I don't know.
Make his concession speech at the convention?
Well, no, not making concession speech,
Oh,
but make her actually pay attention to what he has behind him, which is more than just a token, nothing, which she seems to think it is. But I'm not saying that it's just because, I'm not trying to be a sore loser. And she actually won more, actual pledged delegates and, won more states and, won the popular vote and stuff like that. But there's a lot of question marks surrounding her as far as electability and also as far as all the voter tampering and fraud that went around. And
Well, none of these people are likable. I mean, they're all.
No, I know, but it's something where it's like she can't just be the sore loser she has been so far and just say, "Too bad I won. You have to vote for me." It's like, no, we have other choices. There is more.
There you go. You can nader the election and vote for the fucking Greens, and that gave us Bush. I thought Bush because of the bottom of the drum, but shit, what they got coming down the pike now.
Well, you're scraping the bottom of both sides of the barrel. So
yeah, the whole thing sucks.
So either way, I can't say we're on the winning side, but at the same time, there was another TYT since they have the biggest
change in 2020.
But they
hate this election, but future, and by the future, I mean the far, because nothing's going to happen in the next 8 years. I guarantee you that, unless somebody dies or an asteroid hits the Earth or the sun could explode. We might see some changes, but
because in 2020, hindsight will be 2020.
TYT is a big liberal news source on the internet, especially YouTube, obviously. Did an independent poll because they are asked by some of their people in their same industry, like CNN, MSNBC, since they have the biggest Bernie Sanders following and more in touch with that demographic, to ask if they would never vote for Hillary or they would support Hillary in the general election versus Trump. And in both their polls, in the first day, they had 25,000 people vote. 84% said they would never vote for Hillary Clinton ever under any circumstance.
Okay, well, that's good. That's nihilistic. That kind of puts them in line with the political.
The internet being apathetic.
That kind of puts them in line with the beliefs of like ISIS or other groups that don't really like. There's no point in living. We might as well just burn it all to the ground.
No, but I'm not. As much as I kind of am leaning towards that perspective, where I'd rather just vote for Trump, because I'm halfway thinking that if he's that batshit insane, is he really going to get anything done in the office, or is he just going to sit there for 4 years being a jackass?
Oh, no, he'll get things done. He'll get things done all right. Just like Reagan got things done. You know, Reagan nothing but an empty suit, but a lot of shit happened under his name that really fucked this country up. So, yeah.
That would really be a fucked up future, like 40 or 50 years from now. Everybody views Donald Trump as they viewed Ronald Reagan.
Oh, they will. I mean, it's now. Well, Reagan had a lot of polish, and he could appeal to the old people. I don't know who Trump appeals to.
People that like fake something.
Appeal to.
He's the opposite of social justice warriors. Entitled white males. There we go.
To a lot of there's a lot of people at work that support him. I mean, I talk.
Oh yeah, well, no, he just says whatever the fuck he wants, and that's what people like about him because they feel like he's more honest than everybody else for some reason.
Well, it shocks me that like unionized auto workers, some of the most hated people in the country, especially by people on the right. I mean, people on the left hate us too, but people on the right really can't stand us. It's like, oh, you want to vote for this guy? What does he say to you? Or
well, he's the only candidate.
Well, he hates black people just like me.
You can't come out and say, well, yeah, I've always wanted to kill all the blacks and the queers. Like, you can't say that at work and get fired. So they'll give me some circuitous answer about, well, you know, he speaks to me. Is like, how does that speak to you? So, you know, that guy's a fucking elite. He's an inheritor of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. He doesn't give a fuck about people like me and you. But no, it's like, no, he says something to me. It's like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, I say hateful, awful things too, and I'm not a nice person, but it doesn't mean I want to fucking stick a gun in my mouth and pull the trigger come election day. But okay. I mean, if you got some secret plan where there's, what did the one comedian say? America is a country that's full of millionaires on hard times. Like everyone's, and I did not come up with that. I'm not taking credit for that. I heard that on a podcast, but I can't think of the guy's name or I'd credit him. But yeah, there's so many people out there that think I'm just like Donald Trump, except for the fact I live in a fucking trailer and drive a 20-year-old car. And it's like, he speaks to me. It's like, I don't know how this guy speaks to you, but
the only thing he speaks to me about is the fact that he doesn't openly endorse TPP. So it's.
Well, he doesn't openly endorse it, but yeah.
Well, I know he's never talked about it favorably or wanting to actually pass it. So that's the only winning thing so far he's ever done.
Well, it's not part of his agenda. He'll make things like that unnecessary by basically destroying any labor structure left in this country, and so we can get our prices down as low as say Indonesia, and then you won't have to have trade policies overseas because or he'll alienate us so from the world that we'll just have this huge wall around the country, which I could sort of get into that, but then again I realize that's we're too dependent on the rest of the world for resources, and we have these huge industries we have to prop up to go kill those people every so often, so we need new fighters and aircraft carriers and everything else. So yeah, we can't wall ourselves off from the world. Because who are we going to go to war with? The Alaskans? I don't know where Trump takes us.
I don't know either. I mean, but at the same time, I mean, the only other two options.
Still, Andrew, for me to you, I would rather, if you're going to vote for someone, at least throw your vote away voting for the green fucks. For God's sake. If you hate Hillary so much, good. That's wonderful. I would refer to what Patton Oswalt said about that, but I'll let you look that up yourself. But please throw your vote away to the Greens. Don't vote for Trump.
No, I know everybody's either going to vote for. Is it Jill something? What's their last name for the Green Party? I can't remember.
I don't even know.
But then the other guy for the Libertarians, that's supposedly popular.
Powers, yeah.
And
he's
the
got a plan
Libertarians
that'll work for everyone.
would be just as bad as fucking Trump because they don't want to tax the rich at all. So it's
The thing about libertarians that I don't get, it's like when you listen to it's guys like Rand Paul. The only thing I listen to those people about is I do like kind of this, we're going to get away from this interventionist foreign policy where we're going around the world fighting these wars. But then they talk about things like, okay, well, what's the role of government in a libertarian style? We're all these Austrian economics guys now where we just view the world in terms of, just brutal capitalism. What's the role of a libertarian government? Well, to protect the citizens. It's like, oh, okay. And so in this libertarian government, you're going to get in this trap that all these other that Bush has gotten into, that Obama's fallen into in some ways, is you're going to have this non-interventionist foreign policy, but then you're going to realize, oh shit, we need these wars to prop up our economy. So then all of a sudden the libertarians are going to be leading us, or they're going to let the entire infrastructure collapse here, which maybe that's what they want. They seem to be so anti-government that that's what they'd want to do. But it's like the one thing they say they can do is like, well, we should protect our country, of course. And it's like, well, yeah, once you find out the money attached to that. Because I'm one of those people that firmly believes that most wars are fought over money and economic interest and not over principles. And that includes the First World War, the Second World War, Korea, Vietnam, all those wars. There's a very strong economic component to that. And these guys that say, well, we want a non-interventionist, not a war-based thing going on around the world. It's like, well, what's going to replace that? Or are we just going to let the Chinese do that or the Indians do that? It gets interesting to hear those guys. It's like, well, no more foreign wars. Okay, great. That sounds wonderful. So who's going to fight the foreign wars? Who's going to have all that power? Is Europe going to rise again from the ashes? And are they going to start doing it?
Russia.
Yeah, Russia. Well, the Russians they're doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, they got the third spearhead of that.
They're doing a great job. And the British are having some problems too.
Well, didn't they just exit the European Union, or is that?
Have they voted on that yet?
I thought they did. I couldn't. There was like a headline I saw glance at the other day. It made it sound like they exited the year because it was supposed to be this week. They decided upon it, so I can't remember if they did or not.
Is that because Greece went bankrupt and just dragged the whole union down?
Well, no, Britain just. I don't know what the whole thing behind that is, but I know that I don't know what they're saying. What the propaganda is. No, they got 11 days to go before they vote on that.
Oh, okay. I thought it was this week. Sorry.
But everything I've heard about that, and I'm not an expert on anything, but it is interesting, is they basically don't want France and Germany dictating all the economic policies of Europe. So but none of their politicians over there are for it. So it's one of these referendums that came up and the public gets to vote on it. But Cameron's not for it. Obama went and told him, you're a bunch of fucking idiots if you do this. So I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to do. And some of this has to do with the refugee. They don't want to be swamped with illegals.
Is this like Texas is looking up the cessation papers?
Kinda. It sort of sounds like. I don't know who's spearheading it. I don't know much about British politics. And there's not any books out about it that I can read. See, when I learn about something, it's always 2 years later after somebody wrote a book, and that's at least if it's halfway interesting. So I don't know what there's a lot of politics of fear going on over there. Because Europe's they're slowly moving to the right. It's happening. It's not happening quickly, but it is happening. It's kind of a thing you don't talk about, but you do. So, especially the French, they're very close to electing that. What's that called? The Nationalist Party. Yeah, it's almost going to be a majority. They said if they had an election tomorrow, somebody said it would be very, very hard for the current government to hold their coalition together. Because they have the French National, which are basically, it used to be the fascist party of France or something like that. I don't exactly know if they identified themselves as fascists, but it's pretty crazy stuff.
No, they've had news reports like the last couple of years, especially in Sweden and, like you said, France and Germany and a bunch of other places where, yeah, unfortunately, there's been a lot of either white power or fascist demonstrations and right-wing groups getting together in huger numbers than they have been in the past. And can't remember if they pointed towards anything in particular, like an event that set that off, or is it just
immigration?
Okay.
Immigration's a huge problem over there.
Terrorist incidents.
Yeah, well, they go hand in glove. That's the problem. Because
the weird, mysterious German rape things going on, where that either did or did not happen in large quantities.
Well, supposedly,
yeah, I remember hearing about that. That's part of not having a free press either, is that they can't, because they report one thing and then they have to retract it, and then that's a real problem they have in Europe. They don't have a written constitution, so when the governments get a little shaky and things happen, then it's like, well, there was either massive rape at this thing in Munich or there wasn't. Which was it? Well, we don't know yet. We're waiting for the German security forces to tell us what to write, because they'll put us in jail if we don't say the right things. I mean, that's so. Yeah, but immigration's a big issue over there. Because they're connected by land to all the places that are just dying. So, because the whole Middle East is, I don't know what that's ever going to be. But right now, it's a place you run from.
It's going to be either wasteland at some point. Or some other
yeah.
Qatar,
until the oil
why?
I mean,
until it becomes Spec Ops: The Line.
Yeah.
I mean, what's Conlon's words here on all these political events, considering he's the one that faces the most imminent, life-changing...
I cannot have an opinion about these things.
Well, the biggest supporters financially to guys like Rand Paul and the Libertarian Party, they're all come out of the military. They are the biggest single group that they support the Libertarians more than the Republicans or the Democrats, because of that non-interventionist foreign policy type stuff. That it's kind of a quiet fact that if you start saying things like that, you get a lot of support from the military.
I know.
You say you don't know, or you don't agree with that?
I'm saying that's no.
Like that's, well, I mean, people say they're Republicans, and if you're supporting a guy like Rand Paul or Gary Powers, you're probably an ex-Republican. But you're just in one part of it. There's a whole bunch of people.
Oh yeah, the Navy's really big.
The Navy and the Army are really big.
So I was confused today when I saw the old Blockbuster / now, or obviously for like the last, I don't know how many years now, the recruitment center that's over by Lindale. Because I think I asked you that when you joined the Marines and stuff like that. Is the Marines still considered a part of the Navy, or is it?
Yeah, it's Department of the Navy.
Okay, because like literally the sign was like Air Force, Army, Navy, and then the Marines. So it's just like I thought it was just still the same, you know, everything was still in the same group, Navy and the Marines. So that's why I was.
Well, I mean, it's technically separate, but the Marines are a department of the Navy. But we serve a different role than the Navy does.
Speaking of navies,
We kill people.
cruise missiles kill a lot of people too.
Yeah.
And if the Navy ever uses their Trident
We
submarine,
see the people we kill.
and remember, if the Navy
I
ever,
should say we. I should say the infantry does.
the Navy ever uses
Infantry and Navy SEALs.
if the Navy ever uses their Trident submarines to their full potential, they'll be the record holders for killing in a matter of minutes. Speaking of navies, though, did you hear the British they're having some trouble with their Navy?
What's that?
Their latest and greatest, the Type 49 destroyer, which is considered the most effective destroyer in the world right now. They're having trouble operating in the Gulf for continuous periods because sometimes the water down there can be up to 90 degrees, and their engines are overheating. And these are brand new. Like these things are like $1 billion a crack, and if their engines overheat, they lose everything. They don't because they don't have any like internal batteries or anything. They just generate the shit as they go.
Really?
And
That's weird.
yeah,
I never heard of a ship that doesn't have batteries with it.
well, it has batteries, but it can't run the full defense. It would basically be defenseless.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it can't run its defensive suite, which is what it's
Can't run on battery backups.
No, there's not enough. But yeah, these things are like $1.5 billion a crack or something. They're really expensive, and they're breaking down all the time. And they contacted the supplier of them and like, what can we do to fix this? And it's like, there's a fix for it, but it's it's like another $250 million per ship to make this work. And they were like, oh fuck. But then the BAE, their big military contractors, quick to jump and point out, it's like, we never approved these things for continuous operations, in hot water. Like we never said that was going to be a going thing with these ships. So, because they were designed more for the Atlantic and stuff, not for the Middle East.
Huh.
Well, I think now that Europe and America is the interventional navy around the world, it would be designed for all water types, not just one.
Oh, our ships have problems with operating there continuously too. It's just a lot of our big ships have nuclear reactors on them, so it's not quite as big a deal.
And we have specific fleets are for specific oceans too.
Yeah,
It's like there's PATCOM, and then Atlantic Com or whatever. Like there's different navies for different oceans.
yeah.
Well, I mean the same. There's different navies, but a lot of the same ships are in each navy, right? They're not just
Yeah. Well, they're all made Virginia, right?
Yeah, they're made at Ignalius and Newport News are the two big shipyards. Well, the one of those things called that we have the littoral assault ships. They have the same problem. They'll overheat. Their engines will overheat in those kind of waters, so they just kind of tow them around. But see, everything we have is part of a group. Like you said, they have the carrier groups that they go here and they go there, and the British are just like, we're sending a destroyer out. They don't have. They do have aircraft carriers, but they're all diesel powered, so they don't have that like super unlimited range type shit that we do. So, but that was I thought that's astounding. It's like, here you have this wonderful destroyer, and it's like, well, it's shutting down all the time because the water's too hot. But if the water's 90 degrees, that's fucking gross. Can you imagine how nasty that water would be? It's like, that's pretty
hot.
It's pretty bad. But I guess that's normal for that part of the world. So,
see, when I read the headline for that article on CNN, I just thought it was the same old like, oh, they're in hot water. Like I thought it was a political temperature thing, not an actual temperature problem with the water.
Well, and they have no money to fix them right now because they've spent all their money on these giant aircraft carriers that they're building. So like they say till the end of the year, they have no money to fix these things.
I guess I didn't know Britain was upscaling their navy again, or at
Oh,
least
yeah.
redoing it.
Yeah, they've always had a big one. I mean, it's not like
Yeah.
ours, but they're a small country too.
For
Is
the
there-
size of its nation, it's a pretty formidable navy.
Yeah, and they have very effective equipment too. It's not like it's like 30-year-old shit that it's like, well, that's impressive. It's like the Russians, like that's really impressive on paper till you realize that, like, oh wow, this shit's really old and it didn't really work good in the first place. It's like we just got a lot of it. It's scary because there's a lot of it, but
Well, I mean, besides China and Russia, is there really anybody else that can field any kind of naval threat at all?
well, even the Russians don't even have a deep water navy. They
So
never have.
No.
I know China's developing theirs now constantly, but
Yeah, the Chinese, they're doing a good job of killing naval personnel. They buy shit off the Russians, and then they tried to build their own submarine, and they sent it out to sea, broke a bottle across the bow, and they're like, this will cement our power in the Pacific, and it sailed out to sea and nobody ever saw it again. It's like, well, they're really either being super stealthy or it's sunk. We don't know which. And it's diesel powered, so we're guessing they're all dead.
no, I just mean China's the only one that I know of actually trying to make strides towards a
Yeah.
large naval force.
What the
So-
Chinese love is their strategy is more missile based. They like to have a lot of anti-ship missiles ringing their country. Because I don't think have the Chinese ever been a naval power, or have they always just relied on the
Except for that goddamn fishing fleet, no.
They've never really been a huge naval power.
No, and all their wars with Japan and other countries, no, they've never really had a naval power.
They just
Oh,
rely on their huge interior and their massive population.
This like a naval power this day and age isn't really necessary because there's not really those big wars popping off anymore where it's like we're gonna put technology against technology and steel versus steel. It's not like here's a small country that's falling apart. It's like, can we get in there and just see what's going on?
The Indians have a navy too.
Yeah.
They have an aircraft carrier and some submarines.
Well, I just brought up China and Russia because they seem more.
They have the
likely to-
capabilities.
yeah.
I mean, they could, if they could switch gears, if they had the need for it, they could definitely create one, I'm sure. But nowadays, the stuff's it's even getting too expensive for us. It's
Yeah.
because they're arguing about, our fighter planes, and like we need a new fighter plane, and but it's like, well, we don't want to pay $350 million for a plane. It's like that. That's really great that it can shoot shit down over the horizon and engage 20 enemies simultaneously. But it's like the stealth bomber. It's like that's a really impressive piece of technology. However, if that gets shot down, we're out $1 billion. Like that's a huge amount of money to lose on one thing. And it's horribly expensive to maintain, and that's
We're
Well, that
going
and the
up
way
against enemies that have no
Yeah.
either they solve the problem with a low tech solution or they just have no solution and it doesn't matter.
yeah. I mean, we're fighting people that put pack dynamite into a Fiat and run into a gate and hit the button. Like it doesn't take a $350 million aircraft to defeat that. It's virtually impossible. So that's another.
Plus, we got our drone empire. Like, is China working on their drone empire?
Yeah, that's right up their alley. They could do stuff like that.
Because I think in multiple video games they've had like the Chinese drone swarm.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Well, the Chinese want to bring nuclear artillery back. Like that's a good stopgap. Everyone else is telling them no. Because a nuclear missile, it's hard for a guy to put that in a backpack and walk away with it. But nuclear artillery shell, somebody could get away with one of those. Let's not have thousands of those bouncing around.
But no, I mean, you brought up a good point with the whole. It's hard to fight a guy with a Fiat full of dynamite with a $350 million plane. Like for all the shit we invest our money in, and I think isn't it the Marines that have a new fighter in development, or is it just the Air
we haven't had anything in development since the Osprey, and people don't seem to like that. So,
or somebody has a new fighter or something in development, a vertical takeoff landing fighter.
yeah, the F-35 Lightning.
Yeah, that nobody wants.
Yeah, that's
It's
like
being
billions.
shoved down everyone's throat.
Yeah, that's like billions and billions of dollars into development and might not see the light of day and all blah blah blah.
Well, oddly enough, the big holdback with that thing is the virtual reality helmet.
Yeah,
because what they're trying to make is you give the pilot like basically they have the cameras on the outside the airplane. So he's basically the pilot doesn't just looks through the airplane.
Yeah.
So they have nothing obstructing their view. They can see 360 degree of combat and engage accordingly. But they don't have the latency down yet, so that's the problem.
Yeah. But no, I was gonna say is like even if you got the plane to production, manufactured, outfitted your all your flight wings, stuff like that, and
Marines don't have to worry about that. We're not gonna have it. It's fucking planes.
I'm just saying.
We're gonna get like when the Air Force, whatever Air Force has left over, we'll get that shit.
No, I'm just saying, if you spend, like he said, $350 million on a fighter.
Yeah.
What are the odds, given who we face today and looks like our enemies of the future for the most part, as far as anybody else can predict? Are we really gonna get that $350 million out of each plane?
No, I mean the biggest thing they're gonna. The future is in drone type aircraft, because when you don't have to build something around a human pilot, you can have a lot of capabilities there, and and if you're fighting failed states, which is essentially that's been the big war of the last 30 years, is the terrorists and the non-state entities. Yeah, you don't need. You're not going head to head with ISIS doesn't have like a global beater tank or some kind of anti-air weapon that just negates. It's just they're a bunch of angry dudes, but they're blended into a civilian population. So the best thing to fight that with is a patient, meticulous drone that's eyes never blink, watching, looking for this guy or somebody talking on a cell phone, and then there goes the Hellfire missile into the wedding party or whatever to achieve the goal. That's the.
And also, like a lot of this military spending, its plans were approved 20 years ago when it had a purpose at the time for its development to occur.
Yeah,
and a lot of military spending is about better. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I said that right.
I mean, at what point does it go? I mean, obviously, when it's in production as prototypes, people spent billions of dollars on it. Is it better just to never? Because there's projects that have never gotten anywhere, into deployment and stuff like that, and they've still sunk a lot of money into it.
Read Pentagon Wars or watch the TV movie that covers one chapter of that book, and you'll see that a lot of things get approved for military spending that never go into use whatsoever, but the full breadth of its production was completed.
I mean, it's like, do we really need a railgun destroyer? Do we really need another?
Yes, actually we do, because that's just.
I'm not going to say railgun itself isn't completely fucking cool, but at the same time, I think what's the price tag so far? It's only like there's like a couple.
Well, I mean it's never for America. That's never been a problem. Is the price tag for military?
I know, but it's like I think that's most what people are pissed off with when it comes to Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. Isn't so much the fact the two opponents and the difference between them personally. It's the fact that he brings up legitimately that if we just invested I think it was $50 billion in free college for everybody, we just don't build the fucking destroyers and the planes we don't need. God forbid we don't do that, because then we won't have these cool, impressive toys.
Yeah, well, you got to remember when guys say stuff like that, you got to really look at what the budget, that's the real federal budget is. Military spending is not completely outrageous. It's more than what a lot of countries spend, but we also have a much larger economy than a lot of countries. You really want to look at the crazy stuff. And it's not, and the other thing that drives me nuts when I hear people that's what the left talks about is well, we don't need the new aircraft carrier, or we don't need this. And then the people on the right talk about, well, if all these people were off welfare, you know, we'd have all this. We wouldn't have to pay all these taxes. And both those items in the federal budget are, like, I think military spending is like 8%. And I think like entitlement welfare spending on people that are not of retirement age is like 2%. Real big block of spending in our government is Social Security and Medicare. That's like, those are giant. It's absolutely.
Those are the people who vote.
Yeah, we don't. Well, and those are the people that need it too, because when you're of retirement age and you're too old and you're too sick to work, yeah, the government should, I think, guarantee you a certain quality of life. I don't have a problem with that, but it's like
also a lot with this with military spending is you can't just say like, oh, that thing cost $50 billion, let's just not have it.
Yeah.
Because also what goes along with $50 billion price tag for an aircraft carrier is like millions of dollars and thousands of jobs.
Yeah, that's the other thing people forget about military spending. It's a jobs program. If we just stop development tomorrow and it's like, well, look, we got silos, we got tridents. As a country, we're just got too hard a shell. No one will ever attack us. You would lose 15 million jobs overnight. Like there'd be 15, and these are not dumb shits like me. These are engineers. These are, you know, skilled tradespeople. They would suddenly be out of work, and they would have nothing to fall back on. Like they're not going to become school teachers and, you know, work for the good of all humankind. God knows what they would become. But yeah, a lot of our military spending is just a giant jobs program. And then we have all that weird side technology that comes, like NASA is essentially a branch of the military. I mean, the space shuttle was designed to service spy satellites. That's what the space shuttle did. Sure, we sent teachers into space and we shine lasers on the White House, and it's like, we're going to learn about science. And then every other mission was like, we can't talk about it because we're going to serve a satellite that doesn't exist and does things that are impossible. So, you know, that's a lot of things, and the internet and everything. A lot of those things were side benefits of military spending. So it's, but again, military spending is not, if we just stopped tomorrow and said we're just going to maintain what we have, it's not like everyone would suddenly be richer.
Welcome to the Marine Corps.
What's that? Lost you there.
Welcome to the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
That's what every branch of the military would become, the Marine Corps. It's like, oh shit, we gotta like have a budget. We can't have top of the line shit.
Yes, if everyone became the Marines in our military,
I mean, we'd be better off.
No, I'm just saying, if you took even a fraction, I mean, if I don't know if 8% probably is right, but it doesn't sound right. It sounds too low as far as GDP and everything else is concerned for our spending per year and shit. But
8% of a $20 trillion economy is not a small number. So you might...
I wasn't saying it was a small number. I just swear it was at least like.
Well, I know we still spend like 20 times the amount of like all other countries combined or whatever, but
yeah,
we still also we have a very large economy.
But no, I'm just saying, I'm not saying eliminate all military projects and never fund anything again, but I'm just saying there's certain things I know we don't need, and yes, that would put some people out of work, and yes, it's a good point that they're definitely very smart people that aren't just going to become fast food workers at McDonald's or go work at Target in the electronics department, but some of that money would go towards, you know, retooling infrastructure that's badly needed, where we need engineers to help plan, because they've came out new articles recently, or people somebody, I think it was MIT, came up with a new concrete. It's going to cost like, I don't know how much, like at least 8 times the amount it costs to make normal concrete right now, but it endures temperatures better and it bends more, so it doesn't crack and doesn't become as fragile and crappy in hard winters or extreme hot temperatures. So the bridge would hold up longer. It would cost a lot more to put in, but they need more people to help, you know, engineer this, you know, new concrete and make it more, you know, cheaper and more readily available to do this. And so I think if you would definitely lose jobs overall, because the military is a big jobs creator. There's no denying that. But I think some people transition, and
Well, it's not as singular as you want it to be. It's like we just cut this and that's good. It's like then you're cutting like a certain state's job, and then you got to go through Congress to then get this approved, these budgets approved. And that's where the hard part is now you're dealing with people, and people are unreasonable.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with like it's just like with with a lot of the things Bernie Sanders says. I haven't ever hid the fact I didn't support his presidency, but I like his ideas. But the problem is we are not electing a pope or an emperor who will have to say it is this way because I say so. And no, you have to go through this weird system in the House and the Senate, and fucking Obama, who's has no credentials as a socialist or anything else, just a regular kind of middle of the road Democrat, couldn't get shit done with these crazies, because everyone comes out for the big game, everyone comes out for the Super Bowl to elect the president, but then 2 years later, I'm not going to go out and vote in the, that's how you get the representatives from Mississippi that think that Katrina happened because we allowed homosexuals to get married. That's how those people get elected, because no one pays attention in the off years, and that's that's part of the problem with this country. So I like what everyone's saying with we definitely should, I think, reposition our how would you say that? Reposition some of our values when it comes to what we're spending money on. But we got to be real careful, because when you pass through that system, it gets really hard to change anything.
Hey, and I think that only America would benefit by a competitive public education system, but apparently that doesn't matter. So.
Well, and that's the weird thing though, because I've learned a lot about that, because I have my son's in a charter school and has been all his life, and the thing with the American education system, even the public schools, if you cut out like the inner cities and the real bad areas where they have 70% dropout rates and half the girls are pregnant by the time they're in ninth grade or whatever, if you cut all that shit out, our public education system is on par. It's not as good as some places in Europe, but it's not the worst in the world. But when you throw all those ghettoized areas in, we're fucking horrible. It's like, I'm surprised these kids can tie their shoes graduating high school. But a lot of that has to do with how we allocate our money and, what we do with it. Because I can't send my kids to public school, or I can't send my son to a public school around here. It's just not an option, because they're all so fucked up. Because every time, they close one of the Chevy plants or something, well, there goes a bunch of, state funding, and there goes the tax base. So I have to send my kid to the fucking Nazis. Unfortunately, he does get a good education over there. So that's this weird conundrum.
Well, you just see like where people get pissed off, like, oh, foreigners are taking my job. It's like, well, yeah, their education's better over there, but their country sucks. So now they're over here. And if America could be more competitive. But that's wrong, because they're already very competitive. It's just, I don't know. Well, like you want to make America a degree factory, but you also want to have to make people work for it. And unfortunately, they literally have to work for it.
If somebody told me, well, Nathan, now you have an option to get this free college, because I went to the community college for 2 years, and that was kind of the beginning and the end of, I wanted to do other things, but there was just no money in it. So, and that's the problem with like a guy like me. Even if you say, well, you have free college now, what am I going to study? English lit, history. What am I qualified? It's nothing that's going to make us competitive in the world. I'm not qualified, nor do I have the inclination to be an engineer or to work in computers or anything like that. It's just not where where I'm at. So, if I can make a good wage driving a forklift in a plant, that's what I'm going to do. Because as long as I'm earning a decent income, I have no interest in going any further, because none of that shit pays any money. What am I going to do? Teach history in high school? What am I going to do with an English degree? Absolutely nothing. So, there you are. It's like, yeah, we can have free college for people, but if a lot of people like me that are disinclined to go into the sciences, it's like, well, what good does it do you?
Well,
It's like I can work at McDonald's and be a poet. I mean, it's that's kind
No,
of
I
the
mean-
problem.
That's the sadness I want.
no, that's the
I
thing.
want the McDonald's poet.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I have a master's degree in poetry. Yeah, why don't you flip that fucking burger?
No, that's,
And that's the problem.
And then
is-
you recite Shakespeare as you're flipping it, man.
no, that's the thing. I totally get where you're coming from. I myself have never had any great passion or ideal in my life to be anything other than do what I basically do now, which is basically what you do, where it's, labor. It's working. It doesn't really require a degree. It requires intelligence and, showing up and doing a good job, but that's pretty much about it. So, I mean, yeah, I agree with that. Not everybody would benefit from free college, but a lot of people have made the argument that as far as growing the economy and coming up with new ideas, if you free people up from student debt and taking that job just to earn money to pay back your student loans and make it to whenever, the 10 or 15 years, whatever your student loan payment period is, because for those credit card companies that give it out, you're going to be paying it back for the rest of your life, not just the 10 years they want you to for federal grants. But that frees people up to take jobs that they wouldn't normally be able to take because their income needed to survive isn't that big. Or they can start a business, or they can, kind of play around and discover maybe even a new field to go into nobody's really dove into yet and develop that even further because they can actually do something more, they're more free to.
Well, I can, like I said, I can see that to a point. It's like, yeah, if we want to educate people and we're going to pay for it as a society, it better be something that's going to pay us back. So yeah, if you want to go into technology, if you want to go into engineering, I think they should pay for that. But what we don't need is a lot of people going into journalism. A lot of people study. I mean, I know there's people
that's the same. That's the same way like the military is for like how it distributes its funding for college. That if you want to get a degree in basket weaving, they're not gonna fork out much money for it. It's like it's all for sciences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's where you get the most money for your assistance.
I know, but they have the
But see, if you make that argument in the public sector, all the people that teach English and basket weaving and everything else are gonna scream, like, "Oh, our cultural richness will be lost if we create this society of robots and nobody appreciates the art." And it's kind of like those commercials.
Well, that's why they
the
make you take all those fucking unnecessary classes when you all you want to go for engineering anyways. Like, what the fuck do I need to learn how to write poetry for? I spent $1,000. I spent $1,000 in the same class to learn about American literature. The same $1,000 to learn calculus. Which one's more useful? Which one can I just read some books and have my own opinion? Which one did I need a guy to explain to me?
The argument could be made for like well-rounded educations and all that, and that's where that idea came from. When universities started in like the fucking Middle Ages, they didn't have exposure to anything else but what was going on in their village. But now you have the internet. If you want to learn about haikus and poetry, you can go on the internet. Like, I don't think we pay for all.
There's so many classes in college. It's the fucking rust proofing of college. It's like, you don't need this shit, but we're gonna sell it to you.
Yeah, because you could actually, for what you're studying, what could you do? 2 hard years and you're done? Like, that's all it should really take?
Yeah. I should have been done by now.
You're fucking doing
had to switch majors and shit.
Yeah. Well, like I was interested in pursuing like history or whatever, and they wanted me to take all kinds of shit that like, business classes. Like, what do I need to... Business is evil. That's all. I know what I need to know. I watched the movie Wall Street in the 80s. I learned everything I needed to know about that. And there was stupid shit that they tried to make me take. All kinds of math classes. It's like, if I'm too dumb to get through division, what are you guys doing here? Why are you kicking the shit out of me? I want to write long, boring essays and books about history. That's what I want to do with my life.
There's or at least a liberal news channels they keep touting this report from back when they had the GI Bill after World War II that paid for everybody's education no matter what for free when they went to college and stuff. every dollar they invested came back sevenfold in anything they put in education for the GI Bill. So that's the standard that they're looking forward to now. If you gave people free college money, is that's what they kind of expect back as far as return into the economy and return into.
Yeah, but you got to put that in the context of the time that happened. You might get some return on that investment today. You wouldn't get sevenfold though.
Yeah, because like then like you're taking farmers, throwing them in the most technologically advanced machines in the world,
Right.
And then they're coming back home and like, yeah, I'll go to college. That's like the fucking Star Wars. It's like, I'm a moisture farmer. Oh shit, I can fly a plane. Oh shit, now I own a moon.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I do agree with that. Believe me, my conversations at work would be a lot more interesting if some of the people I work with had college degrees. Trust me, I know. I wouldn't run to the farthest corner of the plant just because I can't stand to talk to anyone. But I don't know, again, how much of a return you would get today based on what you got. You got to understand the 30s and 40s and the 50s, that's like a lost world compared to today. We can't even imagine living in that time. It was so vastly different from what we understand now. And I mean, there were, God, remember, you guys probably don't remember this, but I remember people could run things through copying machines. It was just made up bullshit about how Procter & Gamble had satanic imagery on their products, and somebody was putting something, what were they doing? Or they were giving LSD, satanic cults were giving LSD on Halloween to indoctrinate school children into Satanism. People would copy things off of printers in the 80s and hand this stuff out as if it was like an official government report. Like that was kind of the level of knowledge that existed even in back then compared to today. I mean, today it's hard to pull a hoax on people. You can for a certain amount of time, but I just think there's so much more information now. But I mean, I don't know. It's a lot of those societies though just crank out technocratic people. Korea, Japan, India, China, they just crank out engineers and stuff like that. I don't see that their societies are that much further ahead. I mean, they are, but they're kind of.
I mean, a robot will change your underwear in Japan, but
I think it'd be like the dominant civilization in the world if that was the case. Like if just turning out degreed professionals was the way to do it, it's like, well, fuck, India and China would run the world right now if that was the only path to success. And the problem is there's no innovation there. And also everyone with a brain in their head flees. So you don't want to live in a place where they don't have,
well, it just not pure education is the answer. It's also just availability of applied, how do we say, applied craftsmanship.
Yeah, something. Applied knowledge, yeah.
Yeah. It's like trade school and stuff like that. But like, if people could just follow their general self-interest and like, I don't want to do this job that's available to me. I want to do something else and allow people to do that. Nah, it's too general. But you know what I'm fucking talking about.
Yeah, I mean, we're just, this is us.
I want to weld. You can weld now.
I want to be a blacksmith. That's what I want to make swords. Is there a place for that in the world? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, blacksmiths make a shitload of money.
I don't want to be a fairy.
Yeah, but are there new blacksmiths or they're just like the same 8?
No, like literally metal workers and people that can literally do any blacksmithing work make good money because it's a lost art. Nobody really practices anymore.
Yeah, I just want to do it I just want to make swords. I've had a fascination with that for like 10 years. It's like, I want to make a sword. I want to learn how to make a sword and have equipment to do that and other things.
Well, you need to open up a shop that sells swords and anime. You'll be in business forever.
In Michigan. Can't have them. Which is weird because, like I said, you can have a Glock handgun with 20 rounds in it. You can't have a fucking sword. It's like, well, wait a minute. What could do more damage?
Elaborate canes.
You know, I've always been a fan of openly carrying a sword because no one's gonna fuck with that guy. It's like don't fuck with that guy. He's got a sword across his back. I mean, a gun they think you might miss, but it's like a sword. That guy's gonna start swinging that thing around, and arms are gonna come off.
I guess I'm just so used to here. You can go into like a fucking Spencer's and buy a fucking sword or whatever. It was just like a fake samurai sword or something.
No, I want real swords.
I'm just saying that because even like the cheap shits, like the cheap knockoff, like $100 samurai swords, illegal in Michigan. Right?
I mean, you can get a machete at Walmart.
That's true.
Weirdly, you can have machetes here, but like I said, you can't have like lead-filled gloves here. You can't have like a steel shot ball wrapped up in paracord here. It's like and I would like to have those things.
So I'm guessing that Brass Knuckles is out. And
Oh, Brass Knuckles is 15 years in the can. Oh yeah.
I wonder if there's any place in the United States Brass Knuckles are illegal.
Probably not, because I mean the Brass Knuckles is like having an unregistered silencer for your gun. It's like Rise is like, why do you have this? So we've got to assume that either you have or you will do something awful. You ever hit something with Brass Knuckles, like a real good set?
No.
Like Punch 2x4. Oh yeah, they're fucking incredibly destructive. I mean, I mean, a really well-made set of Brass Knuckles, like the real deal. Yeah, you would kill someone if you punch even a moderately strong person who didn't know much about throwing a punch. It's like hitting someone in the head with a fucking hammer. I always like the Brass Knuckles that are integrated with the knife. That's a message right there. It's like I have complete disregard for humanity.
Because that was like I think that was even like an example of a trench fighting tool. Like they had Brass Knuckles with a knife on it.
I think so, yeah.
Oh yeah, World War One had a lot of fun knives that were then outlawed by the Geneva Convention.
And they learned a lot from World War One.
So we had triangle knives because the wound wouldn't seal, so they made that illegal in the Geneva
knives, where it just created this huge wound channel.
Yeah,
that's human. Well, didn't shotguns, weren't those like, isn't that what pushed those out a little bit and they came back?
I don't know.
Because I know the Germans, there was some book I was reading and the Germans said because shotguns were something we brought to the First World War in a big way, like the pump-fed shotguns. And I know that the Germans said they'd kill any American. They hated the shotguns because they called them trench brooms because there was no better way to clear out a trench than just a pump-fed shotgun, just firing it into up a trench, and the Germans would always kill anyone they found with one because they hated them. Because for some reason, shooting a high-velocity rifle at somebody was more noble than peppering them with buckshot.
Well, because there's a chance you'll miss with a rifle.
That's true.
Not so much of a chance you'll miss with the shotgun.
That was always an interesting thing about that Blackwater book. It's like, militaries are like beholden to the Geneva Convention. It's like, we just have full metal jacket ammo, but like these private military contractors, they can have all this wacky Roadrunner ammo. It's like you shoot a guy in the foot and it pops out his head. It's like, can I use that? Like, no.
They called the bimetal rounds or whatever. Yeah. Because he shot the guy in the ass and he died.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, what kind of fucking bullet do you shoot a guy in the ass with and he dies? And it was like some kind of, it had different degrees of metal. And I don't know what the story was, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it was like some army guys were paired up with some Blackwater dudes. And the army guys were like shooting at this guy and nothing was happening. Like the Blackwater dude shows up there, just like shoots the guy and hits him like in the foot or something. And like you said, in the ass. And like, they go up and like, I think he stopped firing at us. And they found the bullet exit wound, like was like out his eye or something. It's like, you shot him in the ass. What the fuck happened?
His pelvis traveled up his eye socket. Well, anyway, that was a long missive.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what it was about. But anyway, Fear of the Sky.
Okay.
Science fiction book written by Stephen Moss. and it's an interesting book.
Yeah.
It started off kind of amateur-y. Like this had when I read this had kind of the feel of like that, some of that unpolished, you can read this for free type
Yeah.
books.
Well,
got
like
a little better.
for me, it was like I had a better start for me because I listen to books on tape because I don't read books anymore because I'm an idiot.
Oh no.
So R.C. Bray, he read the book for The Martian, and he did a really good job reading The Martian. So he kind of brought a lot of his weird like sense of humor and like dryness to this book. So there's like this book got a Martian head start to it because like it had that kind of same feel because the way the guy read the book. Because it does start off kind of like humorous, like when he like names the asteroid or whatever, Colonel Milton Blows or whatever.
Yeah.
So it kind of had that dry sense of humor the same way the Martian did almost. So.
Yeah, this book. This is a book with a lot of big ideas in it, though. It's because essentially, let's see, how would we explain this? Earth is being slowly invaded. There's this vanguard force of these, killer cyborgs that have the personalities of the most important members of the royal families on whatever this home planet they're coming. What are they called again? They have a weird name for them, like the Mobius or whatever.
Yeah, that's it. The Mobilii.
Yeah, they basically look like humans, kind of, but they have two opposable thumbs instead of one, and there's some other subtle differences.
They got those backward knees things.
Yeah. They're so imagine like the aliens from was that Charlie Sheen movie?
The Arrival.
Yeah, The Arrival, like kind of weird looking things like that, but kind of human too, or at least similar enough to humans.
There's some with their brain. They didn't develop two hemispheres, so it's just one monosphere. I don't know how you describe it, but
yeah.
Because they said something about like how they have they're more literal thinkers, whereas like we're distracted by the two hemispheres of our brain so we think more abstractly, but also that affects our ability to function sometimes.
Yeah, I'm with you there. But yeah, they so this there's this vanguard, and that's what the main characters in this book initially discover. This looks like this asteroid that's coming towards Earth, but doesn't it change course or something?
Yeah, it's that, and like asteroids or I think it's a comet, and like the guy figures out like it's weird. It doesn't really have a tail, so like where's all the mass coming from? Like it should be losing mass when it isn't, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just this guy. He's just like Neil Danielson. Like he's just kind of a loser, like astrophysicist who just happens to have this job. Is like, I get to look at shit in the sky because of the Air Force. Because it's a civilian working for the Air Force. So he notices that there's something weird about it.
Yeah.
And so like when they crashes in the ocean and inexplicably all the pieces of the asteroid happen to fall in like the most dangerous spots in the world. It's like, we can only go look at one, I guess. Which they have to illegally, they like hire some civilian ship and fill full of like Navy SEALs.
Hold on, you're catching up now. We had a big gap there.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. Anyway, yeah. So the asteroid breaks up, and they find the one spot that they can go to, and then they find a pod, so they know that like some extraterrestrial intelligence must have sent this. And also they have the weird satellites that for some reason we can't see. Like those are the actual AIs that run the whole mission.
Yeah.
The precursor invasion force.
Because like I think it's 7 people. They're all representatives from their nations on their planet, and they all have to like they've agreed like, okay, we're gonna go take Earth from the humans and kill all humans, but we have to agree upon it. So they always have to like virtually meet with in a meeting room with the AI satellites, and like discuss how they're going to operate.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because these aliens, the actual aliens, not their dangerous cyborg paramours or the satellites, like they want to take over all the nuclear powers on the planet because the planet will be useless to them if we just nuke everything. Because they have the same, aren't they even more vulnerable to radiation than we are? Or I know there's some reason they didn't want us to use nuclear weapons.
Well, I think they've been through like 2 nuclear wars before.
Yeah.
Or something like that, and so they don't want to they don't have to go through that again.
Oh, okay.
I think that's
they create these cyborgs that look like humans to infiltrate all the militaries of all the countries in the world that have nuclear weapons. And
or there's the one guy who he becomes a Taliban because
he's the Pakistani guy.
Yeah, they figure it's because like it's quicker to overthrow Pakistan and steal their nuclear weapons than it would be to insert him into like the nuclear power, because it's something like you have to be like 20 years in the Pakistani army before you can even like get or be around nuclear weapons or something like that.
Something like that. So yeah, that's
hope it's not exactly a day 2 job in the U.S. or anything. Like, here's your second day on the job, Bob. Here's the nuclear codes.
Here's your key, and here's your friend with a key. But they also, their backup plan is they built a virus that would kill all of humanity in case their plans don't go as accordingly.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is the and also the AIs infiltrate our entire computer and communications network, and these computers are infinitely more powerful than anything we could even comprehend. So the people that discover this, because the ship gets destroyed that finds the pod.
Yeah.
And they quickly realize
there's 4 satellites, and they have a laser on it, so I can just point a laser at anybody on Earth and just kill them.
Yeah.
So they destroy the ship that finds the pod in the Indian Ocean or something.
And the only 2 people that know about it are communicating with what are they using, like infinity radio, something that scrambles.
Yeah.
Something the eyes couldn't unscramble.
Yeah.
So they know they were talking to people, but they don't know who, so they can't kill them.
Yeah.
And then these 2 people figure out on their own, it's like, oh, well, if we say anything about this on any of our computer systems or do anything other than talk about it or write it down on paper, we're going to get killed by whoever's, behind this. And then
they have to put like secret messages in like the newspapers and shit.
Yeah. It's a real old school spycraft.
Or like when they have like they have these 2 houses next to each other, so there's a tunnel in between, so they go like work in someone else's basement, and like they change clothes and walk out another house, so the satellite never sees like the same person walk in or walk out or whatever.
Right. Yeah, and then one of the alien cyborgs talks to the 2 people because he's part of he's like the outcast faction or whatever.
Yeah, I think he's part of the Nomadi tribes. It was like a nomadic peoples that just kind of walk around. They're more peaceful and less wanting of colonization and eradication of humans.
Right.
So they're secretly working to help humanity fight themselves.
Right. Yeah, and so this one of the, and then later 2 of the cyborgs work with the people, work with the humans to try to help them defeat this is just a precursor invasion. There's still a whole fleet coming this way.
Yeah.
This book, like a lot of science fiction, there's no faster than light travel, so the aliens just don't appear suddenly above your planet. It takes a long time to, halfway there you got to flip around and start decelerating so you don't slam into the planet.
Yeah.
But these guys are supposedly laying the groundwork.
Yeah, they're supposed to be setting everything up to soften humanity, so when they get there, they can just take over.
Yeah.
So then, like, humanity, that's why they want everyone around the humanity's nuclear weapons, so either they can dismantle it so they won't attack, or they won't like kill themselves in the meantime.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so that was That was pretty good. Oh yeah, I have a list here. The AI or the cyborg that helps humanity is John Hunt. He's a British. He's infiltrated the British Navy. And then the other one was Shaheem, who starts off as a bad guy, but him and John Hunt have some weird fight
Yeah,
where he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna let you live," but
they have some weird like finger guns that blast air that can like sonic handguns or whatever.
yeah,
It's literally their hands, and they have lasers in their eyes.
these things are really scary. They're not like Terminator robots where it's like I could imagine destroying that, giving the right amount of construction equipment. These things are virtually indestructible, incredibly powerful, and they all represent a different nationality too.
Yeah,
You have the one from India, the one from China, the one from England, the American one.
and of course she's the most evil one.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't she like the personality of the princess of the most powerful royal house on that family or planet or whatever? Yeah.
Well, they also talk. I'm not sure if it's in this book or another one. They talk about how like the reason she got that position was like through assassination and shit like that.
Yeah, they mentioned that in this book.
It's like she wasn't supposed to be a secret agent. She's a fucking princess, but you know she wanted to do that. So
She killed everyone who got in her way.
And I have a question. It might be a dumb one, but is this part of the Leviathan Makes?
no,
thing?
not at all.
No, this is kind of like, I'd say this is almost like self-published in a way. Seems to have that vibe to it.
It just seemed like it was part of a series. Then you mentioned like, oh, you get halfway there and you gotta kind of decelerate certain points.
Yeah, well, yeah,
It's a series, but I haven't read the other two.
they don't have like unlimited technology, so they can't just. So there's still a lot of physics involved in what they have to do. But like this one, just basically it's about humanity trying to survive this first wave of 7 robots, and like they managed to create enough distraction that they can make it look like the countries are going to fire nuclear weapons at each other, but then they end up hitting the satellites.
Yeah. Well, also at this time too, they're inventing nanotech.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the Hunt character gave them to basically immunize them against the plague that they're planning to release on Earth.
Well, there's 2 things they have. They built this antigen that basically makes humanity's to fight the plague, and also it fights any. So now disease is gone.
Yeah, there's no disease anymore.
But they don't ever follow up on that. There's a lot of like interesting things that this book could follow up on, but they never do.
Yeah, the fact that literally nobody dies from anything but old age is like, that might be an interesting plot point. Don't the enemy AIs find out about it because people stop dying from AIDS?
Yeah.
Like, that's very suspicious. That's a fatal, virus that humanity can't treat. Why are all these people suddenly not dying? And they come to the conclusion of what's going on, but almost too late.
And then the other thing that's a help for them is there's a manufacturing process called like resonance something, where it's basically it can disassemble molecules and reassemble them perfectly.
Yeah. You don't need to have sterile rooms and stuff to build really powerful processing engines or nanotech or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now I'm near the end of Fear the Sky, which is the 3rd book.
Or Fear of the Future?
Oh yeah, Fear of the Future, yeah.
I was like, I thought we were talking about Fear of the Sky.
Yeah, we are talking about Fear the Sky. There's Fear the Sky, there's Fear the Survivors, and there's Fear the Future.
Yeah.
Fear the Sky is probably the best one.
That's what I've heard. I've heard the quality diminishes quite sharply as these go on.
Well, both, like, I've hated Fear the Future, but like near the end, it's kind of picked up, which is the same thing that happened with Fear the Survivor. Fear the Survivors sucked until the end. It's like, that's weird. Like, you get your shit together at the end of the book.
Probably because he's like, I got to polish off this turd.
Well, like another, there's a lot of like just like things that like could have been followed up on, but these books would have been like 900 pages if you followed up on the interesting like fallout from all these like human and these inventions that humanity just gets thrust upon them immediately. But like a lot of Fear the Survivors and Fear the Future, it's like watching someone play Command and Conquer, because it's all about they have to build this army to fight this oncoming invasion fleet. And that's pretty much all the details is going on. There's almost no character development. There's pretty much no character development. There's really no flavor of the world going on. It's just like, here's this cool thing we built, and this is what we're gonna do with it.
Yeah, it does. The narration in this in Fear the Sky, it does change perspective a lot, but it doesn't really provide you with any indication of what the state of the world is. It's just kind of how these people are reacting to this situation.
But I did think up a story based on like a throwaway sentence, like kind of like finding out like ways they could go with stuff going on in this universe. Is that at some point they talk about like, we're gonna have to divert these funds. And then there's like this, this Israeli assassin chick who's just like, we got people that do that. It just throw it away. It's like, no, how do you need to funnel billions, possibly trillions of dollars into this secret development underneath aliens watching from above? You need to develop like the most secret technology ever. And you can't have anybody notice it. And like the funds are like, well, how do you do that? It's like, drugs. What if funding the defense of humankind was done through drug dealers?
They know how to launder large sums of money.
So I thought up this story like about like an FBI agent who's like basically who's trying to like track down this Pablo Escobar kind of guy, and the end of the story would be like he tracks him down and he finds out like all this evil shit this guy's done is really to fund humanity's defense against its destruction.
Yeah, a guy like Pablo Escobar is like, no, he's actually the savior of humanity. What implications of this?
It's like, why were you so evil? It's like, I had to keep up disguises. They were watching.
It's like nature. It's survival of the fittest. But anyway, Fear the Sky. Check it out.
Yeah, it's all right.
And if you like, kind of hard sci-fi with, very intricate plotting and rapid change of perspective on the characters.
Yeah.
With some good character development.
Yeah. This book probably has the most character development. It gets pretty slight later on, and like weird changes for the characters happen later on too. But like I think between this book and Fear the Future, like they go through about 20 years.
Oh, okay.
So it does jump around in time. The most interesting thing about Fear the Survivors at the end of the book, they just like being that there's still a couple alien agents hanging around, and it's the ones that are in Russia and in China.
Mm-hmm.
Like they secretly help Russia and China build their own force to fight the American forces trying to build stuff to fight aliens.
Yeah.
And so then they just kind of bring on this like super Cold War again.
Oh, okay.
So it gets kind of interesting.
I have to read that at some point. I got a pretty thick reading list now because June, July is when all the cool books come out that I like to read.
I've meant to ask you, I think, for a couple times we talk about books. I know usually into sci-fi and stuff like that, but you ever heard of a author called Harry Turtledove?
Oh, the alternate history guy? Yeah.
Yeah, the only book I've read his, Guns of the South, I believe is what it was called.
Yeah, that's probably his best one.
But I didn't know if that was anything that's up your alley since you're usually into history. It's kind of a sci-fi-ish kind of like alternative history kind of take on it. So.
Oh, no, I like Guns of the South. I mean, I read it 20 years ago, but I thought it was interesting. What did you think of it?
No, I think I've read it like 3 times in like 15 years.
Do you want something like you wonder if Nathan read something along those lines? Is that you're looking for recommendations of more kind of books?
No, I said. I mean, he already touched on that.
author?
Was probably his best one because I didn't read because it's a continuing arc. I believe Guns of the South is definitely the first one from its alternative arc of history. Like if somebody came back with a time machine and gave the Confederates a bunch of AK-47s, and that what would happen alternative history wise, and then it branches off into World War I, and I think all the way up to World War II. If the Confederate States of America, were still a sovereign body or whatever, and they would side with the Nazis and all this other shit, and, like how World War I and World War II would end up, and all this other stuff. I never continued the story arc, so I didn't know if there was anything worth pursuing down that way, or if it was just that was the best book and that was pretty much where to leave off with it. So
yeah, I think Guns of the South was the least confusing. He did write some other books that followed that up, but I didn't find them quite as engaging. But that was I do remember Guns of the South being pretty interesting. And like I said, I haven't read it in 20 years, so I'm trying to remember what happens. Because who are the time travelers? They're from what country are they from? Is it Germany?
I think it's South Africa.
Okay.
Because it's pretty much like the white hate group or whatever, just a group that's just sympathizers that obviously wanted the Confederate States to win. And, I mean, I kind of like it from the fact that they go in and eventually the Confederate States turn on them and they're like, oh yeah, this city they're based out of, they just found it overnight, and all these residents are all just people that, are helping out the Confederate cause or help supply them with arms and shit like that. Like, oh yeah, we barge into their house and for some reason it's the middle of summer, but the house is ice cold. And there's this weird machine that's like flashing screen and buzzing in the corner and has this weird thing with all these letters all over this plastic thing, and it clicks. And also their shit, and like they're like, oh yeah, we found these whores they were keeping. They're talking about all these fancy texts they have and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's just a nice book, and I kind of wish there was something else beyond that, but I never really pursued it. So
yeah, I don't. That's. I'm trying to think of what other Harry Turtledove books I've read. I do remember that one. That one was pretty good.
Because to me, it's almost like Orson Scott Card, where it's like, yeah, I really loved Ender's Game, but everything else after that's
kind of just his book.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like, whatever. So it's like, oh, another author where it's like, because like
I hear Ender's Shadow is good, or the one he did the second one, which was Eaters of the Dead or something like that, or I can't remember, something with the dead.
I don't remember.
Speaker for the Dead.
That's it.
Was the second one.
Because I remember there's a joke from the Harry Turtledove book where it's the only thing remember is the best line in that book where they're all in a firing line and the U.S. soldiers are charging and they're like, fire at will, and then somebody's like, which one's Will? like we have to kill Will. This anyway. Enough of my nonsensical ramblings. I'm tired.
All right, well then on to Evil Dead 2.
Evil Dead 2. This is a strange movie from
1987.
1987. Filmed in was it North Carolina and Michigan?
Yep.
No.
Well, I remember the first one was all in Michigan. I think this one was maybe some of it was shot in Michigan, but most of it was in North Carolina.
Yeah. This is I've never seen the first Evil Dead movie. I know I liked Army of Darkness. And
Evil Dead, you don't really need to see it because it's kind of just a basic horror movie.
Well, this movie sort of recaps it in the beginning.
Yeah. That's apparently they did that because they didn't have the rights to show footage from the first Evil Dead, so they just basically in the first 10 minutes of the movie they they retell what happens in Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Sort of. In
Yeah.
Evil Dead, there's a whole group of teens that get killed, and here it's just him and his girlfriend.
Now, is this movie cheaper than Evil Dead, or
No, no, because I like in the first, because I read there's because Bruce Campbell has an autobiography called "If Chins Could Kill: Confessions of a B-Movie Actor." And he talks about the process to like how they got funding for Evil Dead, which was they literally had to like cold call people. Would you like to invest in a film project? And he was one of the people calling people to get like $20 from your grandma to pay to shoot Evil Dead.
Oh, that seems really weird.
Because they used to, because like him and Sam Raimi and a bunch of other kids, like, you know, and all Sam's, you know, brothers and sisters. I think he just has brothers. I can't remember. He might have said, or who knows. He had a big family. Like they did Super 8 films. Like they shot stuff. They would get a hold of like theaters who would like like show their films in like the local theater.
Oh yeah.
And so like the first Evil Dead was them trying to like, all right, we're gonna make a 16 millimeter movie. And it's like, how much does that cost? A lot. So I think they raised something like $350,000 to make that movie.
Huh.
I can't remember. It wasn't a lot. And eventually they got to make Evil Dead 2. I guess Stephen King was a big fan of Evil Dead, and that's what got Evil Dead 2 kind of made.
Oh, okay.
Because Evil Dead 2 only cost $3 million.
Like 10 times the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie's this is well, I watched the like I said, I watched Army of Darkness and I enjoyed that years ago, and then you told me the miniseries,
Yeah.
which is Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Yeah.
And then this movie I watched, I think I've seen this before, but these are weird movies. I'm not usually a big horror fan, but for some these are
horror comedies.
Yeah, these are funny, and they do a lot of weird things with cameras. Because
Yeah.
what is it about the camera being thrown through the woods and like this? This seems to happen several times in this movie.
Well, yeah, you have the evil first-person perspective, which I think they just call that the presence or the evil or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's a way to save on special effects budget.
Yeah.
Just making the monsters.
Well, this movie also has Bruce Campbell they're doing a camera scene like that, and he's like flailing around, and it looks like they're flying through the woods. It's a really weird.
Yeah, are you talking about the one where like he gets hit by the monster or whatever, and he's like spinning around? Yeah. That's what. Yeah, they literally have him. Like I think it's a rear screen projection, like, and they show like sky and stuff like that, and they have him on a rig so they can turn him 360.
Okay.
And like you'll see like he's like hitting trees as he's flying around. That same Raimi literally hitting him with a tree branch off the side of the camera.
Yeah, because this is this whole thing, it all centers around this Book of the Dead.
Yeah, Necronomicon.
And then this has like cool reel-to-reel tape recorder.
Yeah.
Guy reading incantations, and more horrible stuff happens. It's like the more they play this stuff.
I mean, there's sort of an amateur quality to some of it, but there's such ingenuity in this movie, which is why I love it.
Oh yeah.
Just all the weird camera stuff, and just like, and probably my favorite scene, probably of all time. The whole like his hand goes evil scene, and he's fighting his hand.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And he, like, you know, he takes a chainsaw to his hand, and he's like after he stabs his hand, he's like, you like that? And he's like laughing and screaming that he's cutting his own hand off. And he's winning. And am I?
The chainsaw.
And then his hand gets away, and like he's like chasing around like it's a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yeah, this movie seems to have a lot of qualities of Looney Tunes and the Three Stooges.
Yes, yes.
because he's breaking plates over his own head, and because his hand is attacking him, and there seems to be a lot of it's like, oh, these people watched a lot of cartoons and Three Stooges growing up, and that's what they.
Well, that's also like some of the stuff they found out, like how they did a lot of stuff, or it's just like that plate stuff is like, oh, it's just that's just unfired clay pots.
Yeah.
So that it just breaks over your head easily.
Yeah. It's like the glass in movies is always made out of like sugar or something.
Yeah.
Can't cut you because you wouldn't want to break plate glass and roll around in it. That would be uncomfortable.
Well, sugar glass can still cut you. It's just safer.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's not. Yeah.
Unless you're Paul Verhoeven, then the stuntman tells you that real glass is just or sugar glass is just as dangerous as real glass. So we're just going to use real glass.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, watch RoboCop. You see guys get shot through glass. That's just real glass. It's probably just cheaper. I don't know. But yeah, he chases his hand around, and he shoots it, and he finally is like, "Ha! I killed it!" And then like he gets drenched with 300 gallons of blood.
Yeah, there seemed to be a lot of like really excessive cartoonish gore in this movie.
And then after all that, the deer head and the lamp start laughing at him.
The deer head was really fucking weird looking.
Yeah.
That out of it's probably like a giant puppet, but yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, it almost looks like the Donnie Darko mask almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how they made the like the cabinet where you put dishes look like it was laughing.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, this is strange.
And then there's that part where he's basically losing his mind. Like it's like, is this real? Is this happening? You don't know. And then there's that part where like the lamp's like dipping like this and this, and he's like starts like dancing and dipping with it.
Right. Yeah. They're just there did seem to be a lot of like surreal elements, because that's what when I was watching Ash versus Evil Dead is like that, and that's a little more straightforward than this, but it's like, how much of this is fucking fantasy in his mind, and how much of this is really happening? Because no one could be. I mean, I like it that the main character is an idiot, like that, misinterprets things and just comes up with really simple solutions, and yeah. So that's this is very, very, very similar to Ash versus Evil Dead. Like there's a lot of these are strange. I would never watch gory horror movies, but this one is pretty good.
He does it very well, because even like Drag Me to Hell, which like you watch the trailer for that and you think it's going to be a straight up horror movie. Even it's like a goofy horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I still really like that movie, and everybody seems to put it down for some reason. Like it's
no, that movie's great. I mean, it's not like it's a great movie, but it's a great movie.
Good at what it does.
Yeah. And like even like I think just like here like the director shines in this, because it's not like all the cast is pretty amateur. It's not like they're great actors, and even Bruce Campbell isn't really like Bruce Campbell yet.
Yeah, I did notice that. It's like he looks the same, or he looks similar. I could see it's the same guy, but he didn't seem to be like as comfortable with the role in this.
Yeah, I mean, he does say groovy, and he puts a chainsaw on his arm, and chops the shotgun down and saw off the shotgun with a chainsaw.
Which that always works.
Yeah.
Now, who is Sam Raimi? What's his?
Well, he's from Michigan. He's a director.
Yeah.
He started with Evil Dead, and like at some point he was living with one of the Coen brothers and Holly Hunter.
Okay, I don't know.
There's the Coen brothers' first movie is Blood Simple, and they shot like a scene from that movie as like a treatment for like, this is what the movie will be, with Bruce Campbell like crawling and bleeding for like 10 minutes. and that was like, and then they got Blood Simple made. And the Coens and Sam Raimi traded movies, so he made this movie called Crime Watch, that the Coens Crime Watch that the Coens wrote, and then he wrote the what's it, Sudhucker Proxy? What the hell is that movie?
Hudsucker Proxy.
There you go, Hudsucker Proxy. He wrote that movie and they directed it.
Oh, okay.
So there's kind of that stuff. He did Evil Dead 2, and then he did Darkman with Liam Neeson.
Okay, I remember
Remember Darkman?
I can't say I really endorsed that movie anymore.
I think it was cool at the time.
I don't know. I think maybe I could watch Darkman now. I don't know. I haven't
Yeah.
seen it. I haven't seen it for a while.
I watched it like a month ago. Like, yeah.
Oh, there's still something about that movie. It's kind of the simplicity I like about that movie. Then he did Army of Darkness, and then he did a lot of schlocky television. Producing it. That's when like the Hercules and Xena and stuff came out. He produced those shows.
That was his tie to that. Okay.
Yeah. Because Bruce Campbell was a character in those shows, and also his brother was a main character on Xena. That's Ted Raimi, who actually plays the old mother in this, like in the big rubber suit and everything. That's actually his brother.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Then he did. What is it? Then after that, he does Quick and the Dead, another really underrated Sam Raimi movie. I fucking love that movie.
That's the one with the gunfighters.
Yeah, it has a super cast now. Like it was nobody then, but then like now you look at that, it's like this is Leonardo DiCaprio, Russell Crowe, Gene Hackman,
Who was the female?
Sharon Stone.
Yeah, that's right.
That movie's great. Fucking who's that guy in Saints Row 4? That it's like Keith David's in it. It's a great movie. It's the only one. I think it's the only movie of his that he couldn't put his old car in because like his car is in all of his movies. The Delta 88.
Yeah. I guess he has a bunch of those.
Yeah.
The Life's got like 7 of them or something.
The Quick and the Dead was the only movie he made. He couldn't put it. Well, I don't know if he put it in the Oz movie. That was like his most recent one.
Yeah, that was his most recent big. Now he didn't he do the Spider-Man ones?
Yes, he did the Spider-Man movies, the Tobey
yeah.
Maguire ones. That was kind of it. That was kind of his big leap to like, oh shit, he's a big time director now.
Yeah,
Right.
Uncle Ben drove around in the 80s.
What's that?
Didn't Uncle Ben drive
Yeah.
around? So,
Yep, that's the yep. And Bruce Campbell was like an announcer in it. So.
yeah, he was in every one as something else. But
Yeah, and Lucy Lawless showed up to do some things.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't done much since the Spider-Man movies other than Drag Me to Hell and that Great and Powerful Oz movie.
Yeah, that's where his main actor died, right? In that one.
Did it?
Yeah, who died? Didn't somebody die?
That wasn't a Heath Ledger thing, was it?
Yeah, I thought Heath Ledger was the original guy. Maybe I could be
Maybe.
wrong.
I can't remember. Because it was who was it? The stoner guy.
Story.
You know, he's with Seth Rogen. Yeah, James Franco.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that fucking movie?
Yeah.
Oh, God, that was a horrible fucking movie.
Yeah, it wasn't that great. There's some things endearing about it, but yeah, it wasn't that good.
No, I remember getting dragged to see it in theaters. My wife was like, oh, this will be good. And I was like, oh, it seems kind of darker, and maybe I'm up for it. So I went and opened my mind, and fuck, that was horrible. Zach Braff is a talking monkey. James Franco, they'll take anything dropped on his plate.
He's a working actor.
And considering I saw the trailer for the movie I hate most this summer again, during Now You See Me, called Nerve, where it starts off like a fucking weird romantic comedy and turns into like a fucking Hunger Games fucking end of it. with Dave Franco in it. Like I think they all the Franco brothers, they take the same career advice. Take any script that passes in front of your desk. It doesn't matter what the fuck it is.
Well, I appreciate that about James Franco because
Well, yes.
at some point he actually did some daytime television that was totally beneath him just because he wanted to learn the craft of it.
All the soap operas and stuff.
Yeah. Still, like, he's always hit and miss. Like, because, like, in 11/22/63, he wasn't very good in it. But there's some things he's really good at.
Everybody keeps talking about, what was that one where he's like this guy with like gold grills and like dreadlocks and
Oh, shit, what was
this
that?
weird fucking movie where it's like in Miami or some shit.
Yeah, it's with those girls and, like, they go rob places.
Yeah, like that's supposedly like his good performance, but it's a dumb, weird fucking movie that nobody really understands. I can't remember.
I think it's just called, like, Spring Break or some shit like that.
Yeah,
Or Spring Breakers, that's it.
I don't know why I watched it on Netflix. I need to watch it except for fucking
Yeah, back to Evil Dead 2.
Sorry.
Yeah, some of the even some of the endearing things in Evil Dead 2 is there's like special effects sequences where you can see the rigging, where it's like they don't even like get rid of it. It's like fuck it, whatever. Like the eyeball sequence, and then like there's like part where he's like flying towards the black hole or whatever, or the time tunnel that opens up, and there's like you can see like the thing that's the cable that's holding him and spinning him around.
Right. I remember that. Yeah, that's like I said. This movie had what was that? The creature effects, was that like stop motion and claymation, or?
Well, I mean, claymation stop motion is kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it had a really interesting vibe to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of like combination of effects where it's like they're not just using one effect; they're using a combination of things to get what they want.
Yeah,
like even that with like that. There's like some stuff they do with like split screen things like that, where the part where he's looking in the mirror and he grabs himself and he's like, "We just cut our girlfriend up with a chainsaw. Does that sound okay to you?" And he's like choking himself, and they're like,
yeah. That's one thing in this movie. There's a lot of some of the dialogue and delivery is pretty. Yeah, it's pretty good. Still like Bruce Campbell's breakout role as Ronald Reagan on Fargo.
that was unexpectedly great.
Yeah.
It's like, does Bruce Campbell work as Ronald Reagan? Yep.
He does.
He's only in it for like 10 minutes, but yeah, it works.
That's a good scene. But yeah, that's there's a lot of that. I do like the chainsaw hand in this one is cool. What is it with the trees, like the evil trees? That seems to pop up.
Well, and that's one of the most famous scenes from the first one.
Uh-huh.
Because there's that part in this movie where like that chick gets grabbed by the trees and pulled into the forest and like slammed into a tree.
Right.
So in the first one, there's a scene like that, but basically she gets raped by the trees.
Oh, okay.
And she's like released, and then like they're like, "What's wrong with you?" And like she's fucking shaken up, and it's like that's a super fucked up scene.
Okay, that is weird. Raped by trees.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was kind of what that, because the one thing I don't understand about the evil in the whole Evil Dead universe is it seems to be random.
Yeah.
It doesn't really have like. What's the point of this attack? Just to be visceral and horrible. Like, like we're not vectoring in on one kind of attack or another. We're just going to be horrifying.
Or just like, what keeps the evil out of the house? Like it seems to like can bust through the house whenever it wants.
Yeah.
But then every once in a while it just backs off for no good reason.
Yeah, and it makes random, almost ineffective attacks, but then sometimes really effective and cunning attacks. And evil and the randomness of it.
Yeah.
And the Necronomicon can defend itself, and then it can't. Throw this into the fireplace, and it's like, oh, it bit me. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, this is a good, funny movie. Of course, I was watching it, Grayson. came out. He's like, "What is this, Dad?" It's an old horror movie from the 80s. Like, is this supposed to be scary or weird? Or I said, kind of both. You know, it was kind of hard to explain what this genre is.
Well, I mean, this is out of all the series. Like the first Evil Dead was kind of just a straight up horror movie. This one starts to bring in the humor, but it's still like a pretty kind of like dark horror movie.
Yeah.
And then Army of Darkness is just pretty much like a comedy movie that exists in like a horror framework.
Yeah, Army of Darkness is just fun and weird, without too many like horrible sidetracks. Like, this movie has a lot of horrible sidetracks, and everyone's dead in this movie.
Yeah,
nobody lives
except for him.
Except for him.
Gets sent back in time.
Yeah.
Next time when your son comes in and asks you like a random question like that, just fuck with him. It's like, Dad, what is this? Like, this is the reason you were conceived. So it's something really fucking off the cuff.
Origin of life.
Dead by dawn. Dead by dawn. What's it? Yeah, and then the TV series just kind of.
TV series seems more in line with this.
Yeah,
also, Bruce Campbell seems to be a much better actor in the TV series. It's like he understands the character more.
Yeah.
Or something. I'm not sure, but
yeah, I love that part where like he saves that girl from her family trying to kill her, and then like he buries them and puts the crosses up, and she's like, "They're Jewish." He's like, "I wish you had told me that before I put up these stupid crosses."
Or just the same usual bravado as Ash and stuff like that, where he's in the restaurant, he thinks the waitress wants to have sex with him in the diner and shit like that. And it was like, "Oh, that's your husband. Oh, well, that's okay. You can watch." Or whatever. Just fucking, like he thinks he's every lady's dream or whatever. He just lives in a fucking trailer.
The character is essentially an idiot who's lucky a lot.
Yeah.
And then sometimes he has like stunning, brilliant insight. And then he goes back to being an idiot, so you don't know what he's doing or why.
Yeah, I mean, I was glad. I mean, when I got to the end of the TV show on the first season, I was kind of be like, is this like a one and done thing, or are they going to keep this alive for possibly a second season? How are they going to do that? I never expected Ash to just be like, "Yeah, I guess I'll take the deal with the devil," and just fucking. It's like, the world's fine. Then the earth starts splitting around him and shit starts going wrong. Oh, nope, still fine. Turn the radio up. Like, just go. Like, so it's.
I believe they ordered a second season. So
yeah, no, I'm glad there was going to be another season of it. I was kind of didn't know how they were going to make a second season happen.
They'll figure it out.
Usually he does the whole. I mean, as much as he reluctantly does so sometimes, because he's like, "Oh shit, should I even fucking bother?" Kind of hero approach, because he's like, "Oh." Or like Army of Darkness or Evil Dead 2, or just kind of like, why bother at this point? But he usually does the right thing, or usually triumphs over evil in some small fashion or whatever. So I kind of expected the same thing at the end of the television series, but instead he actually gives up. So that was kind of different.
I'm guessing nobody saw the Evil Dead remake.
I did. I didn't like it.
They did a remake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Similar, same director or anything? Or
no.
Oh.
Although a weird Bruce Campbell cameo.
Oh, I forgot he had a cameo.
Yeah, like right at the end of the credit, because it's just a straight up horror movie. Like it's a fucking hardcore horror movie.
Oh, okay.
There's no lightness or.
There is no comedy whatsoever. And at the after credit sequence, there's a dark shot where you can see half of Bruce Campbell's face, and he just goes groovy. That's it.
Was the remake good?
I think it's a well done horror movie. It's like it's fucking terrifying.
Right.
There's a lot of kind of like stupid jump scares. It's like, I only scared me because you made a loud noise. But there's some like self mutilation shit in that movie that is fucking like like that's awful. But like, yeah, it does not strike a humorous tone whatsoever. So
I remember me and the guy I used to work with, like we both kind of got in a fight over it because I let him watch the movie because I think I rented it. I had like 5 days on it, so I let him watch it. He fucking like, that movie's awesome. I'm like, really? You thought that was awesome? It's like, have you seen the original ones? It's like, yeah. It's like, so you don't think that totally doesn't mesh with it at all? It doesn't.
no, I think that lines up with the first Evil Dead.
No, I mean meshes in like the spirit of the movies.
Well, not with
Like
the
the
series,
original.
but with the first Evil Dead.
Yeah. As far as chain of events and everything else, I was just dissatisfied because I thought they were gonna do something more along the veins of the movies, the way they made them before, where it was gonna be. I didn't expect. Obviously, Ash wasn't gonna be in it, but at the same time, I kind of expected that same weirdness to it. I guess it was just it was just a straight up gore fest.
Yeah.
So,
well, there's a part like when isn't there something like where doesn't she have to like chop off her hand?
she like loses it because it's pinned under a car.
Yeah, under a car. There's a moment where she fights back. There's like almost like a light sensibility there, but not much.
Huh.
But yeah, I mean, it was like it wasn't one of those like that was like Sam Raimi like gave his godsend to that. I was like, yeah, you go make that. That's fine. And it was some foreign director, and I thought he did a good job directing it and stuff like that. It's just yeah. I think like there's a distinction. Like one of them is called The Evil Dead, and one's just Evil Dead. I can't remember which. But yeah, it's a remake.
Yeah, I mean, Conlon for a point. It's not a bad movie. It's just not Evil Dead.
It's not in line with the rest of this series. It's only in line with the first movie.
Well, maybe they'll make another one that's funny.
Well, that's why I was like, how? Like, I wonder if they're gonna do an Evil Dead 2 remake because that would be fucking like that would be weird. Like, especially if they try to bring humor into it, or if they're just gonna go fucking even darker. Like that would be even weirder.
What can they do?
But it would have gone forward with a female protagonist, which I'd be kind of interesting. But
do they even have the original Evil Dead on Blu-ray now?
Yeah.
I guess the last when I saw it, I just have the Evil Dead 2 because at the time they didn't have Army of Darkness or Evil Dead 1 on Blu-ray. It was just Evil Dead.
I don't know. I'd like Evil Dead's not that great of a movie. I don't. You can get that for free on YouTube. Like if you want to see it, you can.
No, I'm just saying at the time I was gonna buy it. Like,
yeah, it has a weird rights handoff because like even like for this movie, like it's not streaming anywhere because it wasn't on Amazon, it wasn't on Netflix, and it wasn't on Hulu, and they have everything.
Yeah.
So, but this used to be like that. Dino De Laurentiis had to create a whole new company for this because I guess his company didn't release unrated movies.
Oh, really?
In this movie. Yeah. Because like there's so much blood in this movie, it got like an X rating.
I can't remember. Was there any tits too to add to the?
There's dead tits.
I couldn't remember if there.
His girlfriend like dances because her corpse like crawls out of the ground. It's like naked.
It attacks him too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also this movie like kind of broke ground for Peter Jackson too, because like his first big hit was Brain Dead, which is a kind of silly gore fest in the same way that Evil Dead 2 is.
Isn't that one where it's like this weird zombie virus?
Yes.
Type of thing? I couldn't remember what it was called.
He straps it's called Dead Alive here, but it's called Brain Dead
that's
everywhere
why,
else.
Because I rented it on Netflix back when I saw this rental or whatever.
Of course, they both have like famous covers because like Evil Dead 2 covers like really famous because it's just a skull with eyeballs in it.
Yeah.
And like the cover for Dead Alive is like a mouth being pulled open by hands, and you can see the skeleton underneath or something like that. Yeah, Dead Alive's pretty fucking weird. At some point, he straps a lawnmower to his chest and he walks through a horde of zombies and like he vivisects them. So there's like some zombies, there's only half of them left after he walks through them and shit like that. There's so much blood and gore in that movie. So, without Sam Raimi, maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe Peter Jackson doesn't go on to make Beautiful Creatures and that Ghost movie he did with Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, what was that one called?
Frighteners.
Yeah, right.
I still like that movie. I don't know why.
Yeah, there's something about it.
Maybe it's the fact that they keep talking about that in the behind the scenes footage stuff they put on YouTube and shit, where it's like, yeah, he was so used to filming Back to the Future, he kept saying Doc all the fucking time on set. It's like, what do you mean, Doc? And like, that's not where the movie were. That's not the, like, so. But no, it's that. And I mean, I can't really nail down anybody else that was in that movie besides Arlie Irby. Was in it? It was like the ghost, like sergeant.
Isn't Chi McBride in that movie as a ghost?
I don't remember. Other than that, Michael J. Fox, I think, is the only star in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a big movie. It was kind of a weird horror comedy movie.
That I can't remember when they said it came out because I know they said it bombed. And
I think it was like 98 or something.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Shut up, Cat.
What movies did Peter Jackson do that weren't affiliated with the
Lord of the Rings?
Rings that weren't bombs, though.
King Kong. Well, I'm not sure if that was a bomb because I know that was expensive, but that made a lot of money.
And then he did the one about the girl that was dead, right?
Oh, yeah. Lovely Bones? Yeah. I never saw that.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh, I had a copy. You should watch it.
I remember people like were gushing over that book, and then like you figure like, well, I guess that's going to sell $1 billion, and then it just disappeared immediately.
It's a good
Is it
movie
like
to
Mark
watch.
Wahlberg in that or some shit?
Something like that.
Yeah, Rachel Weisz, Mark Wahlberg. God damn it, what's her name? It's the one that plays the murder victim, or the girl that plays the murder victim, has never been in a good movie other than that movie. I've been sterilely disappointed every time I've seen her in a movie. It's like, well, I know this movie's gonna suck because she's in it.
Beautiful Creatures are really good. I'm not sure how successful that movie was. That was just a New Zealand movie, and it kind of came over here. I think that was like nominated for Best Foreign Oscar or something.
Oh, okay.
That's the one about where like who's the chick from Titanic?
Kate Winslet.
Yeah, Kate Winslet. That's like a real story about these two girls who like murder another girl.
Oh yeah.
No, they murder their parents. Shit, I can't remember. But it's like a real life murder, and like it's handled really weird because like they kind of go into like their fantasy world where it's like people are made out of clay and shit. It's like there's like actually a lot of weird special effects going on there, but it's actually like a good drama too. It's like it's a fucking weird movie.
Huh. I'll have to check that out sometime.
Yeah.
So Sam Raimi, that's this is kind of his groundbreaking, huh?
Yeah, I mean this is Desperado. Like they gave him some money, he got to show off what he can do.
Yeah. Like I said, it's very unique. I mean, nothing else looks like this.
No.
We've seen.
Except for like probably some, Three Stooges movie, but
Does he have a connection with that in any way, or do you just like the stuff?
no, they just love that stuff.
Oh, okay.
Like like when he was doing this 8mm films, like they were doing Three Stooges shit.
Oh, okay.
That's how they learn filmmaking mostly, just by watching things and then trying to recreate it themselves. I mean, that's what that in that book they gave you a recipe for how they made blood, which is just like Cairo syrup and food coloring.
Yeah, I remember using that a couple times.
Yeah.
You heard about that with No Country for Old Men, right?
Yeah. Because they had to get something so bugs wouldn't get on them, so they like import some blood recipe from.
Yeah, they had to buy it from England, and it was horribly, horribly expensive, but it wouldn't draw like, fierce desert insects like the Cairo syrup did.
What else about it? Yeah, I was gonna have some comparison with like this and like Nightmare on Elm Street, which that's a different kind of, and like even the first movie is just a straight up horror movie. Like he doesn't become like funny Freddy till like the third one.
You know, I don't think I've ever watched except the first one. I don't watch any Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen anything besides the horrible remake of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Well, that one was more in line with the first one.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think
Because that was like, because that's the thing. Like a lot about that remake was kind of like recasting how that character originally was than what he became.
yeah,
Because like I think like in the original one, Freddy has like 5 lines, and none of them are like weird, goofy things or
yeah,
puns.
none of them are one line. Or something. Yeah. No, I mean, I get the character started out. I mean, all the Hollywood horror remakes that have been just literally, by the book the way the first one was, whether it's Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street, Hills Have Eyes, any of that stuff, it's just all the same as the first one, basically. But at the same time, it's still, some reason it's just not the same for some of them.
Yeah.
I mean, the Halloween remake by Rob Zombie was awesome. It was a good movie. It was a good remake. I mean, obviously, it's not the same as the first one. I haven't seen the first one, but it, to me, was a good movie. So,
it's kind of like those Texas Chainsaw Massacre remakes where it's like visually this looks stunning, but there's when you lose the amateur quality, it kind of loses the effect.
I heard like Texas
original.
Chainsaw Massacre 2 is like really fucking weird. Or is it 3? I can't remember. It's like some weird gimmick with like.
Well, like original Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 or like new?
The original one.
I mean, the fucking weird one is like Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation.
Okay.
Because like fucking, who's in it? Like, all right, guy. Yeah, Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah.
Is like one of the weird family, and like, oh fucking, who's the chick that's in it? Oh shit, I can't remember. Oh man, I'll have to look it up.
I've only seen fucking the last 2 remakes of Texas Chainsaw Massacre that both suck.
I mean, they're all kind of bad.
Yeah.
But there's something about that first movie that's like, is this happening? Like, it's almost a documentary. That's what's weird about it. Maybe it's not Next Generation. Let's see. What is it? Yeah, it is Next Generation. Yep. Which is a stupid name for a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie.
Star Trek, the Texas Chainsaw Next Generation.
Renee Zellweger, that's it.
Uh,
It's a fucking weird movie. Just because those 2 people are in it. And like, you knew who they were at the time too. Like,
Oh, they weren't just like this was their first movie.
no, like I think, I think Dazed and Confused had come out by then. So like, you knew who Matthew McConaughey was, and then Renee Zellweger had done something. I like, ever see that weird movie with Kiefer Sutherland? It's like called like Freeway or something like that.
that was Renee Zellweger.
Oh, that wasn't okay.
One where he's like the serial killer on the freeway. Or
Yeah.
whatever. I've seen that one. It's not good.
Oh, it's Reese Witherspoon. Never mind.
Like,
What did Renee Zellweger do?
I think weird or kind of an interesting fact about Sam Raimi is a big supporter of George Bush. W. Bush gave the maximum amount of legal contributions he could to his campaign. Both times.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Well, he's also from Royal Oak, Michigan, that's not quite as conservative as Lansing, but it's not far off of it either. There's a lot of money there, so
Yeah.
no, it'd be nice to see. I don't know what Sam Raimi's doing now exactly, but it'd be nice
On his thing, it says World War III, but it's not very. It's not very descriptive. It's like what would happen if there was a future war, essentially.
Oh, okay.
No, it'd be nice to see him do another.
I mean, he's producing Ash versus Evil Dead. Because he does, like, he's one of these guys. He's like, he's almost as a prolific producer, more so than he is like a director. Oh man, remember Cleopatra 2525? He produced that whole block of shitty. What do you call that?
I don't remember that at all.
I was stupid, but he did like that. That was like along that block of Xena Warrior Princess and Hercules stuff. It was.
Oh, okay.
And Jack of all trades. That was an enjoyable, like Bruce Campbell series.
Mm-hmm.
That and like what's that? Briscoe County Jr. Was that the other
Yeah.
series he was in? That was good.
a good one.
Yeah, it got weird at the end, but it was good while it lasted.
It was like the steampunk cowboy.
Yeah,
Like, I have all this technology I can reproduce. I'm really smart. But yeah, that was like a 1-season thing, I think, or maybe it was 2.
I think it might have been 2. I'm not sure. It got canceled pretty quickly. I remember people were pissed off when it got canceled.
Yeah, was because I think it came on right. Was it right before or right after X-Files?
I think it was before.
Yeah, it had a slot near a popular show.
Yeah. He also produced Mantis.
Yeah.
I remember posters for that. I never saw that fucking thing.
Bruce
Assuming it
Campbell was in
bad.
Burn Notice quite a bit, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a main character.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Did 7 years of that show. Well, that was kind of his second big break, because I think like around that time he wasn't really. Well, he's never really been a big actor, but like I think Burn Notice kind of gave him a little bump, and then he was in a bunch of shit all of
Yeah.
a sudden.
He's
Yeah, I
kind of like the part actor, and
I never
well, it's
saw,
like he
like-
said in his book, he's the B movie actor. So.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever saw like the token movie after Burn Notice is over. Is that even any good or is that just...
Oh, the Burn Notice movie?
Yeah,
That's all right.
because even after like that show lasted like 6 or 7?
7 years.
Okay. Like even after like the 7th season, like the whole novelty, like why I like that show about him like giving tips, like yeah, you don't really want to make a bomb that way because like doing that stuff, like eventually you got like, yep, they do this every week, so I'm actually kind of bored of it now. So I just,
Yeah.
like, tired of the
That
show.
last season was awful. That's everybody phoning it in, and that's Jeffrey Donovan being a recovering alcoholic.
I mean, it's just like Castle used to be a good show for like the first like maybe 4 seasons, and like the last like 2 or 3, like it was
Well, don't worry, they canceled it.
No, I know. It's just, I'm just saying it's like complete fucking garbage because the show got too fucking complicated or something. It's just,
But
people got tired of the gimmick.
so I can't remember, what did they call that television? Like it's what Star Trek was, or it's the Star Trek Next Generation. It wasn't like syndicated. Yeah. That's when Sam Raimi went to New Zealand and found out you can make syndicated television really cheaply there. He was kind of the first person to go there.
Yeah, because Ash versus Evil Dead's all filmed in New Zealand, right?
Yes, it is.
How is that economical? Is it just the government give you like huge breaks to do it there?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, look at Lord of the Rings.
I just always heard that like I've never understood like all the films filmed in Australia and New Zealand, because every time I listen to podcasts where people talk about, because usually it's actors or whatever that were on these movies, they talk about how horribly expensive those places are.
Oh, probably.
Well, they
I
have
know.
super high tax rates and all that.
Yeah, well, I know it's like it's hard to get shit. Well, their taxes are weird, and it's hard to get shit there because it's like in the middle. Like it's like
You're at the bottom of the world.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like everybody has to come to you, like, or you got to make everybody come to you with money. Like I hear like things like video games cost, like some video games they're on a, not every video game costs the same there. Like
Yeah.
it depends like where it's shipped from. So like a game can be anywhere from $60 to $300.
What's with those? My son has a couple friends. They're on intermittently, but they're from Australia, and he was telling them how like, oh yeah, my dad got me like I forget what the 2 games were, but there were 2 games that came out within a week of each other.
Yeah.
And these kids were like, oh, you guys must be rich or whatever. And my son was like, yeah, they're like $60 a piece. And he's like, $60 US, and because he, you know, Grayson told me is like these guys said, yeah, like games or video games, like I think it was one of the Call of Duty games or whatever. They're like $140 there.
Yeah,
for the disc, and
because that's why there's weird shit with like digital video games there, because Steam just wants to come in and sell every game for 50 cents, and the Australian government's like, no.
With digital, there's no import tax or custom.
I know they want to put that on there.
fat taxes on everything.
Is even like all the shit from Warhammer, which I'm involved in. People bitch about that in Australia because
like
that are like $60 here, or like a fucking 130, 140 bucks there.
Yeah, because it's mostly like, I think it's something like with entertainment and stuff like that, and things that seem as non-essential, they tax the fuck out of it. But I think like anything else is decently priced.
Like food and stuff, except
Yeah.
in restaurants, is really decent. But
Yeah,
so when the one lady was talking about, like, she wanted to rent a car and go do something, and she wanted to eat at this restaurant, and it was all in Sydney, and she said it was like $1,200 for a night. Like, this is fucking unbelievable. I can't, because not everyone there is rich. He's like, I don't know what people do here. It's like, well, they don't do things like that.
Yeah, how does a restaurant stay open in Sydney, Australia, or whatever?
The way it was explained to me is like everyone makes, like, the minimum wage there is like $20 an hour.
yeah.
There's no tipping. There's very high taxes, and there's no like incentive for service, because they say like the quality of service there is very poor unless you're paying top dollar. Like if you go to a restaurant, like you can order something, people roll their eyes and kind of like, yeah, we'll get it to you. It's like there's not a lot of incentive unless you're really throwing money at people. But they don't have a lot of poverty either. So.
Well, I just meant more or less like if you're talking about like, hey, renting a cab, going out to eat or whatever, like a night in the town in Sydney, if you're a tourist or visiting, is like $1,200. Like, how does a restaurant that's supposed to be open, to make money and function as a business, supposed to stay open if it costs somebody that much money?
This was an actress too, so she probably went to like the nicest places.
Okay.
And
I didn't know. I guess I didn't know if it was like a regular Joe. Or...
No. These are all people that the only stuff I've heard about it are there's a lot of Australian comedians, and then there's a lot of actors on podcasts talk about like, oh yeah, I wanted to do this and drive along the coast and rent a car, and it was like outrageous, huge amounts of money. And then Australian actors like to come on American podcasts and say horrible things about Aborigines because they will actually be arrested if they say that stuff in Australia. They're always like, time to get my Aborigine hate out. I can't do an Australian accent. So. But yeah, I've heard like 5.
It's very nasally.
Yeah, I've heard like 5 Australian comedians. They all come on. It's like, let's talk about the Abos. It's like, oh, bro. What do you mean? What's going on?
What's wrong with them?
Because to us, it's like, oh, those are people they're the guys that play the didgeridoos, and it's like, oh no, they steal and rob and rape. It's like, wow, really? Okay.
So just like our suppressed Native American population.
Yeah, pretty much.
We put them down.
One Australian guy said one of the most shocking things I'd ever heard. He said this on TV is like, the good thing about the American native population, he says, is like, at least you bothered to kill them off, so you don't have to give all your land back to them in 100 years in some fit of guilt. He said something like that. It's like, oh, yes. That's.
I don't know if that was intentionally our long-term plan all along.
No, but he said it was just good that it worked out. He was basically saying like George Washington was a hero, and he does belong on all your money because he did you the favor of basically kicking off the slaughter of the native population of this country, so you don't have to have big land grab schemes by your liberal government 200 years later. He had this whole diatribe about it. I was like, that's a lot of concentrated hate. But, I guess, too, if you're,
Well, I only thought, I thought the perpetuated the population centers of Australia was more or less that it's along the coast because that's where people can live. Otherwise, if you go more towards the center of Australia, it's like barren wasteland.
Yeah, it's uninhabitable.
Yeah, so it's like, why the fuck does anybody care? Like, yeah, give them as much barren wasteland as they want.
Because there's oil and shit there, and there's a lot of mining that goes on there.
Yeah, I guess I forgot about that part of it.
Yeah, and yeah, you know, and
Because I mean, the food documentary thing I watched about how they still like they live in the Aborigine population there. They live everyday lives, you know, like 4 or 5 days out of the week. But then the weekend, like the whole community will pick up and go out to the bush, and they'll live out in the bush for the weekend so they can maintain their heritage and their ways and stuff like that, and their culture. And so they just like literally, they kind of set a controlled fire and they just burn out all the animals, and they have a nice cookout with the animals they burn out and berries and shit they find, and they spend the day out there, the weekend out there. Like I
Yeah.
don't think they're really hurting anybody, but that's
no,
their-
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know, but I know what I've heard the Australians say on different shows about the violence, robbery, and murder that goes on, and they all seem to single in on that. But that's just that's just life in the big city, I guess.
Yeah, there's nothing like a bunch of descendants of convicts bitching about people committing crimes. Like,
Well, it's just more antecedents of the British Empire. It's like, oh, they're racist murderers. No, not the people that were created by the British. They'd never do things like that.
That pretty blonde lady jumped really far in the Olympics. She can't be a racist.
But yeah, I guess it makes sense because didn't they film the Matrix movies in Australia too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they did.
And Farscape was filmed there.
Oh,
That's still on?
Nope.
I wish it was.
How long ago did that end?
A long time ago.
Probably. Yeah, I'm not current.
2004?
Was that including like the movies afterwards, or is that...
No. That came like a couple years later, but it started in 99. I think it had 5 seasons.
No, I had 4.
4? Okay.
I know. I own the Blu-ray box set.
There you go.
Like, that show is still like one of my top-rated shows ever.
Next thing, what's the next thing to see in theaters? Anything good coming out?
The next Finding Nemo movie.
Dory. Yeah.
I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of.
I mean, it's probably a good movie. It's Pixar, but I'm not gonna.
It's like how you're
I'm
like,
not gonna see it.
like, fuck that.
Well, I don't see any of those movies in theaters. Like the last Pixar movie I saw in theaters was Toy Story 2.
No, I mean, otherwise, all it is just a bunch of stuff that's just lame action stuff or just generic crap that they shoved it into the summer that it's not gonna.
Well, I mean, you got the Independence Day movie coming up.
Yeah, who gives a shit about that?
I'll go see it.
It's a movie they should have made like a
I
decade
haven't
ago
heard
already.
anything.
I don't know. The last time I saw, they had that new trailer where that you have Jeff Goldblum saying they like to hit the landmarks.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Oh yeah, Ghostbusters comes out. I forgot about that piece of shit. I mean, movie.
I mean, it'll probably suck, but we'll see.
Doesn't Ben-Hur come out too?
Does it? Probably.
The other piece of shit movie that nobody should care about.
They remade Ben-Hur?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
remade Ben-Hur.
Huh.
And they're remaking Scarface right now, and they're remaking all this. It's fucking bullshit.
I don't know. Scarface is not
Well,
so
Pacific Rim
cherishable
2
that
is starting to
it can't
film
be
in
made again.
Q4, and John Boyega is going to be the lead actor.
Well, Swiss Army Man's going to be coming out here, so
Yeah, but around here is the question. I'm more
Probably not.
concerned with.
What's Swiss Army Man?
oh, you haven't seen that trailer?
Uh-uh.
Oh, holy shit! You need to watch that trailer. It's fucking
haven't.
weird as shit.
Yeah, watch the Red Band one. Watch like,
Daniel Radcliffe plays a corpse that can do anything.
What?
Yes.
Harry Potter?
Yes.
Let me find this trailer real quick.
oh, yeah,
The Shallows looks kind of cool.
What does?
The Shallows.
Oh,
It's like a shark
Jaws.
movie. What's
Yeah.
that?
That's a Jaws remake, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Free State of Jones looks stupid.
Yeah, that could either be good or not. I have no
It's
idea.
probably gonna be boring as shit.
That's a Civil War one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
BFG. I can't. Every time I see it, I just can't think of. I can't think of anything else but that gun from Doom.
I just think of that or big fucking guy.
What was that?
Or something.
Big fucking giant.
Big fucking gun.
Oh no, I know what it means.
Oh,
Oh,
I don't know what it means.
oh yeah, the Tarzan movie. I
Big
forgot
friendly
about
giant. Yeah, Tarzan movie.
that, which might be it.
I don't know. Maybe. I'm not gonna go see it.
No, I said might be it. Like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
the Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, the Infiltrator looks kind of good.
I thought that was gonna come out in fall. That's why I didn't.
Star Trek Beyond, all those trailers still like shit, but maybe it's good. I don't know.
To wait and see on that one.
That Jason Bourne movie, maybe.
Oh yeah, that's right. I just saw a trailer for that. I totally forgot about it.
Bad Moms, that kind of looked funny. I won't go see it in theaters though.
Why don't you want to see Mila Kunis be a bad mom?
Oh, Suicide Squad, I'll go see that.
Oh. Yeah, I suppose since
That's
they
in
reshot
August.
some of the action scenes a couple months ago to put more action in it. Apparently,
The only thing I think is weird is like what they're doing to the Star Wars movie.
what's that?
They're like reshooting like half the fucking movie because apparently people thought it was too dark.
Rogue One?
Yeah. I was like, it's supposed to be
about pretty
fucking
much everybody
dark.
dying, I thought, so what the fuck?
Nobody in this movie's going to live.
Well, that's depressing because I just saw the trailer for it again and maybe I want to see it for once. And I was like, oh, this actually.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know that. There was a lot of weird rumors that popped up all of a sudden about like what's going on with the reshoots, but I can't.
Well, it finally would make sense. I mean, as much as it's called The Empire Strikes Back, I wouldn't say that the Empire's ever had a winning movie. So, I mean, as much as a crushing, huge force that way outnumbers a small, undergunned force of people that are poorly trained and mostly farmers, I think they might eventually lose the battle. Because at this rate, it seems like they should have crushed the Empire in about 2 movies, considering they never lose. So it's like, I think we can probably find one movie where they get all wholesale slaughtered or actually lose something.
But it's all for the greater good. That it eventually destroy the Death Star. At least
Yeah.
one of them.
I was just excited to see some of the castings for like they're doing Mon Mothma again and stuff like
Yeah.
that, where it looks like they did CGI work with that, and who they got to play. God damn, what's his name?
Forrest Whitaker?
No. The guy that was Grand Moff Tarkin.
Oh.
That guy that was on the Death Star when it blew up the first time. Who they got to play him?
Oh, is that supposed to be that dude?
I think it is.
Is that the dude in like the white cape and shit?
I don't know. White cape. There's another shot. Other guy like a green, like olive
Oh.
kind of shot. I think that might be him. I don't know about the white one.
Oh, that would be Cushing, but he's been dead for years. Guy who played Tarkin in the original.
Yeah, that's
Are
why.
you talking about like the recast?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Try and find somebody that's kind of more or less exactly the same. Because, I mean, that was part of the. What did they use for the first shot of Civil War? Where it's like it literally looks like they started shooting like 30 years ago, and Robert Downey Jr. was like 20. And it looked actually really good. It didn't look as fake as I thought it would.
Yeah, but that's CGI stuff. They just like they graft his face onto a younger person's face.
Okay.
It's kind of like how they did with the Benjamin Button stuff.
Okay. Because I was surprised how good that looked. I was like,
Would you ever see Benjamin Button?
yeah, I did.
Okay.
No, I just haven't seen people use it a hell of a lot.
Oh,
So I didn't know
Yeah.
if it was still something people were doing or if it advanced.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they
So
can do it.
it was cool to see it again. But I actually liked that scene because it was, a good scene as far as like, wow, I didn't think they put this much money into it because that seems like a necessary cost. Because it was literally just him as a setup piece for later talking about, the day his parents died or whatever. So that way you just don't get to the end of the movie and like, oh yeah, he killed your parents and now you're supposed to be all mad about it for some reason. So I don't know.
All right, did you see the trailer?
Yeah, that's a weird thing. Strange erection humor and a guy losing his mind and using them to chop wood and fly through the air, and that's a weird concept.
Yep.
Yeah, and people walked out a lot of it.
Yeah, it was at Cannes. It was like apparently no one wanted to see the Harry Potter farting corpse movie.
That's terrible.
I would have sat through that. That'd be fucking awesome.
Can you drink?
Didn't a bunch of people walk out of yoga hosers? So yeah.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it looks like it's definitely not a movie for everyone. I might see it at a rental, but I don't know if I'd pay a movie ticket to see it.
But I don't know, like Swiss Army Man seems more cerebral of a movie, even though it's completely insane.
Yeah.
Who's releasing it though? Is it? I know it's obviously.
That's probably Lionsgate or something. I don't know.
Well, it was more of that question because I was like, well, is it actually going to hit theaters in Cedar Rapids, or am I have to
Nah, you'll
possibly
probably
drive to Iowa City if I actually want to see it?
Nah, you'll probably just catch it when it comes to DVD.
Yeah, probably. Matt's the only one that goes to Iowa City to watch movies because he's weird like that. I don't know why. But it sucks we don't really have a independent, or at least a movie theater that's allowed to, or not allowed.
Well, I
at least
mean, like
able to play more independent.
so much of that stuff is just available on the internet so quickly. You just really you're not really missing a whole lot. It's like, oh, it was in theaters for 2 weeks and I missed it because now it's on DVD.
Well, I know, like I can rent High Rise right now, and I kind of wanted to.
Oh, is that out?
Yeah, I can rent it on Xbox for $7.
Have you seen any reviews about it? Was that supposed to be?
It's
good?
like 50-50.
Oh.
It's supposed to be. From the last trailer I saw, actually, it looks like I would really be interested in that movie. It looks like it has a lot of cool visual aspects to it. It's almost like it's a sealed world because it's all every floor in that tower is a different section of community. Like,
yeah.
one level is a grocery store, another level is like family housing. Then obviously all the rich people and all the weird fuckers. There's the top.
It's like that town in Alaska that lives in a 7-story building.
I mean, it's almost kind of like you just have to go to the outside world occasionally to work, and that's it. So it's almost like the whole movie is obviously trapped inside that high rise. But I can't tell if something goes wrong during that movie.
Oh, it's Total Recall.
Well, because from the bad reviews, it sounded like it was like, if you want to make heads or tails of this movie, you're not going to. So it's like apparently either jumps all over the place or is like incomprehensible. I don't know which one.
That's based on a 70s novel written by a surrealist. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a J.G. Ballard novel.
All right.
Well, let's wrap her up for tonight.
All right.
Anyway, this week for the American Greed Factory podcast, this is Nathan.
This is Colin.
Andrew?
Goodbye, America.